that only you could solve.
Okay. Concerning.
Yes. You know what?
If you got a problem, I'll solve it.
Okay.
Check out the hook while Jeff revolves it.
That's right. But before we get to that problem, first let me say, because I don't want to do that thing where you talk for like 20 minutes and then I'm like, oh yeah, by the way, welcome everybody to the RageSelect podcast here. RageSelect, I'm Jeff.
No, Amanda.
It's only good manners that you welcome people into your podcast.
That's how you get vampires in your podcast, Jeff.
You do have to take your shoes off though when you come into my podcast, please.
That's just because he's got a weird foot thing. Do not take your shoes off.
I don't want to have to vacuum as much. Like your dirty feet. I don't know where you've been. You're walking through mud and then you're just like, I'm here for the
Joke's
podcast.
on you, my feet are dirty.
Well, damn. No, I was thinking before we started this podcast this week where like over the course of the last few weeks, I've been like watching, it'd be like, oh, Barbie came out, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out, like the Guardians of the Galaxy came out.
Yeah.
And last week I was looking at it and I'm like, nothing came out. And also the last like 4 or 5 things that I've watched have just been kind of like
meh.
Yeah. Like I watched that Talk to Me movie and I was like, it was fine. I watched Barbie. I was like, it was fine.
Yeah. You might not have been the audience for Barbie.
Yeah. I watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I enjoyed that, but it was still just at the end of the day, it came out and I was like, that was pleasantly enjoyable. I wasn't like out of my seat.
That's what I want. Are you kidding me? Like I am so happy with pleasantly enjoyable. I don't need every movie to be Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
Although the Citizen Kane of Ninja Turtles would be very fun.
Who plays the main character in that?
Leonardo, obviously.
The snow globe with just like a little tableau of like the sewer with pizzas.
Splinter, and then drops the thing.
I guess the thing is that it's like between I've been having a really good time playing a lot of different cool video games.
Yeah.
But like my Friday night animes are like I got one good one, but then a lot of the other ones are just like they're fine. I've been feeling a lot of weird feelings recently, and I think it's because life has just been fine, and I'm like I'm looking for something. Yeah, just something where I'm like,
I need the highs and the lows. You can't just keep me in the middle.
Right.
Yeah.
So I know that you usually when we do the podcast, you talk a lot about movies that you watch that are like old movies or strange movies or off the grid that made an impact or whatever. So I'm coming to you.
Oh,
what do you got? You got something to make me gonna go, yeah.
So, no. But John was like, he had this weird urge.
If you're going to tell me to watch Jag, I am not going to do it.
No, fuck it. Jesus Christ, no. He's watching One Piece right now.
Oh, yeah.
No. But, so I just don't like the...
No, don't turn it off. Don't turn it off.
I don't like the main character. He's just... scary.
Yeah.
Just
Luffy monkey.
He's so freaky. Just jump scares onto the screen and never blinks. I don't know. But John got this weird urge to watch like an 80s, 90s action movie, and he was just very like, I don't know what, something I haven't seen or something that I haven't seen in a long time and I don't remember it. He like weird. It's very weird to like have an urge to watch something new, but also old.
Okay.
Because especially old from like when you were a kid, because there doesn't tend to be a lot of new in that. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like if you're like, I grew up in the 80s, I really want to watch an 80s movie, but one I haven't seen that gives me the feelings that the ones I have seen have.
Okay. All right.
I've already watched the ones I've already watched, so give me new ones. And it's like, that's a lot harder. Anyway, so we landed on a movie called Millennium.
A spaceship on the cover? No.
Airplane on the cover.
Airplane.
Chris Christopherson is so there's like an airplane crash. And I believe 2 airplane crashes now that I think about it. Chris Christopherson is the person that's investigating what happened.
And Cheryl Ladd.
Yeah. Okay. And so he's investigating like what's happening. So it starts off kind of straightforward where you're just like,
oops, this Google image search has massive spoilers in it.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. So that's the thing is like you either go in totally blind and you go and it goes. I will say that it has like a sci-fi twist,
right?
Because he's trying to figure out why something's happening, and he meets a woman who works for who's I guess a flight attendant, and there's like a mystery involved with her, and it's kind of wackadoo. Yeah. Like it gets like halfway through the movie, and then you go backwards, and then You go because like essentially the first part of the movie, Chris
like
Christopherson's the star.
Are you trying to make me watch 80s Tenet?
Yes.
With Chris Christopherson?
No, well, the first half of the movie is Chris Christopherson's like here and now dealing with the crash and the investigation, and then meeting this woman and kind of falling in love instantly, and then you go back and you follow her story, and it takes you on her story is like a totally different movie, and then they kind of meet in the middle.
It's kind of a Rashomon type of deal.
A little bit, yeah. It's yeah, but like 80s and not good. But it was fun and weird, and you know we do fun and weird in the Sitton household. So
okay, maybe on Saturday when I get really drunk, I'll watch it. I tend to have a much better time. I tend to have a much better opinion of movies when I'm completely fucking wasted by the time they get to the end. I'm just like, woo!
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I want to just spoil it because it's so old, but I don't know.
Don't spoil it.
Okay.
Don't
then
spoil
I will
it.
hold on to it. I love Chris Christopherson, so I'll watch anything he's in. But
you know what?
Has been an old man since he was born.
I didn't know that this was a thing, but speaking of Rashomon, I had this on my desktop here. There was a trailer that came out not too long ago. Did you know that Netflix is making an Onimusha anime, or like a CG anime, but like an anime nonetheless?
No.
So it's like an old Capcom game. It was like they took the Resident Evil engine, they made a samurai magic game out of it. Like the third one had John Reno on the cover, or the second one. The first one was notable because the main character was like, they do this thing where they were taking real people and then putting them in. Like the main character in the first one was like a famous Japanese model, and then this, you know, the main character in here is I'm gonna make sure to get his hands right, or his name right, Toshiro Mifune, who was in Rashomon and the Hidden Castle, and like he was very much that Kurosawa actor, but it's also being directed by Takeshi Miike, who did like 13 Assassins and the oh god, what's the not the Eternal Warrior. That's a wrestler. No, that's not even a wrestler.
Nope.
It's the Ultimate Warrior. There was
Where
another,
are we going?
there was another samurai thing that was based on an anime that he did. But he also did Ichi the Killer and Visitor Q and all that weird shit back in the 90s. But like 13 Assassins is a really good, like kind of Seven Samurai-esque kind of, he does good samurai stuff. Yeah. And this looks pretty good. Yeah. Like from the trailer.
I like the enemies that they're fighting, like undead looking motherfuckers. That looks cool. I don't have Netflix right now, so can't watch it.
I also saw that Netflix has some kind of like Benedict Cumberbatch, Wes Anderson movie where everybody's like, what
the hell are you talking about?
Maybe all I need to do is wait a week and there'll be all kinds of shit out for me to talk about. No, I saw the trailer for it. It was really weird. It was because that Asteroid City just came out. Yeah. The wonderful story of Henry Sugar. And it's Benedict Cumberbatch. And like this entire trailer is like Benedict Cumberbatch keeps turning to the camera to narrate when he's not talking to people. Yeah. Like everybody kind of keeps doing that. And all the sets keep coming apart like they're like on a stage play. And it's about a guy who like he finds like a guru who doesn't need his eyes to see, played by Ben Kingsley. And then he wants to learn that power so he can cheat at cards. And it looks like it's a period piece, and it's got like all kinds of...
All Wes Anderson movies look like period pieces.
But like this
my God.
It's very...
Is that a traveling mat?
A traveling what?
A traveling mat? Like the car where it has like a fake screen going in
like
the
rear projection?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. I don't know. It looks really interesting. I'm a little...
I'm more... enticed by this than anything else because of the talking to the camera aspect of it. Like obviously I'm not hearing what they're saying or anything, but like just that alone makes it really interesting.
That's up next week.
Yeah.
Like I was like,
what the hell?
There's a Wes Anderson movie I've never heard of that comes out. I heard about Asteroid City like months before it was even in the theater.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that I saw this trailer come across my YouTube recommendations. But
everyone was like, whatchamacallit, the strikes are coming, and then just started like filming on top of their filming just in case.
Yeah. The other one, I guess, is did you see the trailer last week for Dream Scenario?
Yes, it looks so good. I showed it to John and was like, all right, like I haven't watched the last 4 Nicolas Cage movies, but this might be the one that gets me back in. Not that I think any of his other ones look bad, but like you guys you guys being just like the internet in general, really blow Nicolas Cage out of proportion about like, oh, it's Nicolas Cage playing Nicolas Cage, or this movie where Nicolas Cage plays Nicolas Cage. Like,
right.
I mean, he's like an Academy Award winning actor. Like, or at least nominated. I don't know if he won. But he's like a wildly talented actor. I would just like to see him do acting and not just.
I think people they give Nicolas Cage too much credit, but like if you know anything about Nicolas Cage will say yes to anything.
Yeah.
So it all depends on like the script and the premise. Like, the same year that he was in what was that, Five Nights at Freddy's, that horrible one where he didn't have a single line of dialogue?
Yeah.
Willy's Wonderland?
Yeah.
He was also in Pig.
Yeah.
Which was like one of the most amazing movies I've ever seen.
Yeah,
it was incredible.
Yeah.
But then he was also in one where he was like a post-apocalyptic Mad Max samurai that I heard was like weird. Like there's one that's coming out that I saw the trailer for where he's like a Jimmy Buffett beach hobo grandpa.
Yeah, it's out. We almost watched it, and the only reason is because Ernie Hudson's in it. I was like, Ernie Hudson, I'll watch anything with Ernie Hudson.
It's like Die Hard, except that Nicolas Cage is just like a grandpa that kills people.
Something like Retirement.
The Retirement Plan, something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember exact. But yeah, it's that one looks like a made-for-TV movie. Like, I don't understand, but sure. But this one looks cool.
This is more like I don't know, like The Whale, right? Like it's an A24 taking somebody who either hasn't been around or has been doing a lot of stuff that is just
such a good. This came off to me like somebody's writing practice.
Yeah,
because it's like, what if everyone has a dream about the same person?
Right.
Just this one person that's in everybody's dream, and what if that person is just like a regular person, yeah. And what does that mean? And what happens if people have nightmares with them? And what happens if people have weird dreams with them? And like that's a fun thing to explore. I'd much rather explore something like that than just like the same old same. What if we give Nicolas Cage a gun and make him yell a lot?
I also like this. Reminds me a lot of Adaptation and the fact that he's like bald and dumpy.
Yeah,
like I like it.
Like he just looks like a normal dude.
Yeah, he looks like a college professor. They got a dorky medium suits. Like he doesn't stand out really at all. I don't know. I think it looks pretty cool. Like A24 is such a mixed bag. Like it's hard to tell.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's either right up my alley or pretentious as fuck.
Yeah, because I think that if I'm not mistaken, didn't they also put out Talk to Me, right?
Yes, but they purchased that off of a film festival.
That was like made by like a YouTuber or something.
I don't know if they were a YouTuber, but it was definitely made for. It was like one of the first films by
Australian YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
right.
Yeah.
I didn't get it. Like, so I asked people last week in the comments to be like, is this like? I mean, I liked Babadook when I first saw it, but is this like one of those things where Jeff doesn't understand metaphors and you need to explain to me what this is a metaphor for so that I can be like, oh, it was actually good?
Every clip I've seen makes me uncomfortable and not in like a good, spooky kind of way, but like, I don't know, they're kids. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, shitty teenagers? This seems rotten.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I'll probably watch it this year, but I'm not going to run out to watch it. I will run out to watch that Dream one, though.
Yeah. Dream scenario. Yeah, that's it. Okay, well, there we go. All right. Well, speaking of dream scenarios, we have a dreamy bunch of news this week.
Yeah? I don't know what that means. Is Nicolas Cage telling us the news?
Nicolas Cage.
Benedict Cumberbatch looks directly into the camera and tells us the news.
And narrates what Nicolas Cage is doing, who is just making news all over.
I think we just made an Academy Award nominated movie.
A24, you call me. I will sell you the rights for $1,200.
Wow.
I think that's what I need for a new video card to play the new Cyberpunk expansions.
Well, maybe...
Give me $40.90, you can have the rights to that idea. Okay, so last week we had... I love this. I love this picture of John Riccatello. Mm-hmm. Okay, I don't know how aware you are of this. Last week, Unity fucked everything up.
Mm-hmm. They pulled a Wizards of the Coast.
Yes.
Right? Where they were like, you know what? I don't want money anymore.
Right. Well, no. They wanted...
Right. They just wanted to upset all of their customer base all at once.
Yeah. So we talked a lot about that last week and how bad of an idea it was because it came off as incredibly. The thing about it is, like, you can tell the difference between when a company does something where they've thought about it a lot, they've done stuff a lot, you know, they've run it past all their lawyers, they've gotten together with some focus groups, they figured it out, and they like launch a thing, like, here's the press release, here's all the legalese about how it's going to work or whatever. This is like, and you guys forgive me for delving into politics, just dipping my toe in, but this felt a lot to me like when Donald Trump would tweet a thing, and then the entire government would be like, I don't know how to make that happen, I didn't consider making that happen, because they tweeted out their new scheme last week, and then they immediately got pushback on it, and they were like, I mean, it's like this, with another tweet, and it was like, could you guys put out a fucking press release with like,
can you stop tweeting your ideas? Who's giving the idiot, like, with the random elevator pitch for this shit the Twitter access? Like, maybe send an email out to work for like the developers first and see how that goes. Don't just...
I mean, I read one report last week that said that everybody inside of Unity was like, do not do this, this is going to make everybody mad at you, do not do this.
If there's anything people love right now, it's losing goodwill with their customer base.
I don't like this. Before we get into what actually is happening here, I really don't like this thing that we've been seeing. There was I think it might have been like a Philip DeFranco thing or something that mentioned it, where they were talking about like, what do they call this thing, where you make a difference and then you raise the price on it, and it's like premiumizing, or like
I don't
premiumflation. There's a word for it. Like WD-40, they put like a little hinge flip up spritz thing, and then you put it down for the wide thing, and then they jack the price up by like 80%, right? And what happens is they know that all the normal customers that they lose, they're going to make up the difference by charging more, and that the people that continue to pay for it will then make up what they lost in customers that were paying for the cheap version. I hate that concept so much.
I'm just not 100% sure it doesn't do anything more than even them out. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you want to make more money, you know, maybe raise your prices a little bit after you do, you know what I mean? But this whole anger everyone, so the only people that can use your stuff is the people that are dumb enough to pay extra. And that'll make up for everybody you lost, but you shouldn't want to make up for what you lost. You should want a profit on top of it.
I mean, I think that the thinking goes further than that, where like that's the short term, but then in the long term, you're going to see the profit graph go up, because as it becomes normalized, everybody's going to just keep
depending on how bad you fucking screw the pooch, there is a good chance that you're not even going to survive long enough to make that happen.
Absolutely. And that might be why this
also
week...
some dystopian ass fucking thought. Like, you know, once all the poors are fucking whittled down, eventually they'll have to pay what we want them to. It's just like, you know, what the hell?
Anyway, they went out and they put out a tweet. They went,
JK, we're just kidding. We're just kidding.
An X. They X'd on X. They X'd an X on X. That motherfucker, to speak of stupid assholes, like, you know, we had verbiage for this. We had like, it is Twitter, and you tweet tweets and you retweet. Now you X an X on X. You re-X.
This is starting to sound like a porn site.
We have heard you. We apologize for the confusion and angst the runtime fee policy we announced on Tuesday caused. We are listening, talking to our team members, community, customers, and partners, and we'll be making changes to the policy. We will share an update in a couple of days. Thank you for your honest and critical feedback. I do not like, before we get into anything else, I do not like the confusion and angst, I'm making air quotes here, about just like, oh, I'm sorry that you had such a bad reaction to that thing that I did. And it was like, that's not an apology. That's saying, I'm sorry that you were mad for what I did, not I'm sorry for what I did. And there is a difference. There
100% is a difference. Also, I could not imagine being a developer and being okay with that response. Like, they need to fire the whole board that approved that. Whoever fucking tweeted it, they need to fire them. Because if I were a developer, how would I feel comfortable? Because development for a game can take up to years. So how would I ever feel comfortable that they're not gonna, if I'm developing a game and I'm using Unity, how would I ever feel comfortable that in 5 to 6 months they're not gonna be like, we did our research and have decided, and then I have to port all my shit to something else because I'm not going to release on Unity.
Yep.
So unless you have proof that the people that made that decision in the first place are gone, I would never work on Unity.
Yep. That's there was a developer last week that tweeted almost verbatim what you just said.
Really?
It was just like, these things take 3 to 5 years to develop, and like the only way to regain trust is not even to walk this back at this point, because you've shown by your idiocy, you've shown that you are willing to do this. So like, how can we trust that you're not just going to wait for this shit to die down? Then when, I don't know, take your pick, the Pacific Ocean catches on fire and everybody's freaking out, you're like,
now's the time,
okay,
release it.
Put it back out again while everybody is tweeting about the other thing, right? Like,
we live in a day and age where people read the fine print now, too, which honestly is fantastic because everyone's getting caught on their bullshit. Like, and I love it.
The other thing that we think that I don't, John talked a little bit about this, but then I think I saw some comics that kind of put this into perspective also, is that like, you know, part of this was the idea that it was like, oh yeah, you're going to get billed for installs of Unity games over X amount. And then when they were asked about like Game Pass games, they said, well, Microsoft will handle that. You know, what game developer or game publisher with a lot of Unity-based things on their system and may not be interested in paying that? Nintendo. And it's possible that these chuckle fucks didn't make a difference and then got a call from Nintendo going like, I'm sorry, you're going to what?
Nintendo's like, no. And they're like, what do you mean no? And they're like, no. And then just hung up, and you just like, okay, we're gonna psych.
Right now, Bloomberg had a report that said that they're under the tentative new plan, Unity will limit fees to 4% of a game's revenue for customers making over $1 million. Now, I did want to say this because it was something I didn't take into account. You can actually build and develop and publish even a whole game on Unity without paying for it at all. Now, I mean, I think you can do some of similar stuff with like Unreal Engine 5, but that's like a much more heavy duty engine. I think Unity is a little bit more simple to use. It's a great kind of like baby's first like game development language. So part of this could very much be that and if this is the case, I have slight amounts of sympathy for this. Indie developer, Vampire Survivors guy makes Vampire Survivors in Unity, uses the free version, doesn't pay, puts it out, it goes viral, it becomes a huge fucking thing. This guy's getting a paycheck for $1 gajillion, and Unity's just like, I mean, I'm sure there's some kind of license that has to occur at some point, like when you're selling the thing for money. But Unity is not as upfront. It's not as much a pay upfront thing as it is like further down the line. So this could honestly be them trying to be like, look, people like the Among Us was made on Unity, right? Like these guys just made a shitload of money, and we saw very little of it. Like Steam saw a lot of it because of the revenue split. And the developer saw a lot of it, but we saw, you know, a single licensing fee outside of like something. And so I can kind of a little bit understand that. And it actually, to be honest, this 4% thing is less. It's still crappy because that's 4% on top of like Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo and Steam all take 30% of your sales just for.
Also, that's 4% right now, but you know that later on, you know, it's like getting a new apartment. Sure, it's a good price this time around, but next year they're gonna raise it up.
Also, the specific thing that was said with this Bloomberg leak was that it was 4% of the game's revenue for customers making over $1 million. Like there were 2 tiers on their initial system where it was like $1 million or 1 million downloads, and then that was when the like much more conservative like kind of big developer per install fee kicked in. But for smaller developers, it was like over $200,000 or $200,000. And then it was just like, I still cannot believe it was a flat rate of like 20 cents. It wasn't a percentage. It was just like 20 cents per install, which is like, well, that's really weird that you wouldn't make it a percent, because a percent, like, is a lot easier to stomach if you're like, you give us 1% of everything over $200,000, and then you never have to pay us a licensing fee unless your thing goes over $200K.
Yeah.
The other thing that still has not been resolved here is how are they going to know? Like, because unless Unity is going to put something in the next version of their software that takes a snapshot of my computer and uploads that data along with what I've installed to their servers, which is DRM, which like GOG does not allow, and gamers do not like that shit.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, what? You make a pirate thing that just blocks that network.
Yeah.
Like, are you going to make it so that if you're offline, you can't install Among Us? Because you can't send your machine profile back to Unity. Like, the thing is that this is one of those things I feel like that they talked about in a boardroom, but then like once you start talking about it, and you're just like, what about this scenario? They're like, I didn't think of that. What about this scenario? I didn't think of that.
This definitely feels like it was supposed to be a internal like brainstorming thing where people were going to give them the like, if this, then this, like flow chart of the best case scenario versus the worst case scenario and what happens in between. And instead they went, I have an idea.
Right.
And then tweeted it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you cannot, this day and age, it's so weird. I've been thinking about that because of this. How much business... Is this just like a new thing because of social media that like a business will just be like, we're going to do this thing, I don't know, and then just do it or like throw it out there? And now, but like back in the day when there wasn't Twitter to just like jump on and be like, we do this,
right?
That it would just happen.
Yeah.
Like how often was it crazy, not thought out process thing of just one fucking CEO being like, you know, it'd be cool, and then just like doing it and then trashing their entire company because when people realize, go, no, we're not going to do that, and it's too late and you can't apologize fast enough when it's in newspapers or courier pigeons or whatever happened back in the day.
I mean, if you like I said before, you go back 4 years, and like I don't think that anybody would have thought of that being the norm until we literally had a commander-in-chief that was just like not running things by staff, not going up to the lectern. Like it was a guy tweeting at 6 o'clock in the morning, whatever he thought. Oh, you know what? I had a good idea. Let me just put it out there. It's like, and then you've got Elon Musk now, right?
Yeah,
who's kind of
doing that. It's a very similar thing of just being like, you know what? Maybe Twitter should be something, or X should be something people pay for, and everyone's like, make it work? Like, what?
I wouldn't pay for it even if it did work. I would pay for it. I would go eat dicks, Elon Musk. Like, no.
It's so funny that it's like, well, we're going to have to start charging people. Yeah. And it's like, oh, sweet. If I didn't need a bigger excuse to not be on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, now you're going to charge me? All right. Well, then
Great.
I won't do that.
It's like that. Have you ever seen the episode of 30 Rock where they're trying to make a better microwave, and then at the end he's like, we've made a Pontiac Aztec, like we've made an American car, where it's like, you know, Elon Musk has gone through all these different things, and now it's like, and now what if we charge them? And I feel like at the end they take a step back and they're just like, oh, we've made Gab.
Yeah.
We've made Gab. We made Truth Social. We've turned it into Truth Social.
Yeah, all of the things that try to replace Twitter, they have now turned themselves into those.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make, like, you were it. You were literally the standard of which people were trying to find ways to get to.
Yep.
And you went, what if we went down to that level? Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Yep.
This whole thing doesn't make sense.
Anyway,
mass hysteria, dogs and cats living together.
Let's see. We have a couple of other follow-ups from the Unity thing. Cult of the Lamb is not getting deleted.
Yeah, I saw that where they were like, you guys believed us?
Well, I think that I think somebody stepped in to be like, you guys can't just unilaterally make that decision. You've got like agreements that you signed with publishing partners.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that they were just like, you know what? Fuck it. We're just going to delete it on January 1st. We're going to delete. You better go download it now because fucking punk rock. Woo!
Yeah. But the funny thing is, a lot of people did download it when they said that. They're like, oh shit, gotta get it. And they're like, psych. And
then they're just like, oh, we're just joking. And it's like, how are we to know? How is anybody to know anymore?
Nowadays,
whether you just said a thing, you didn't put like a smiley face behind it or something.
A little winky face. But they also spent a lot of their time, Cult of the Lamb, posting fan art in which the lamb is making out with different animals, like different video game characters. So like, if you were taking them seriously to begin with, that's on you.
Yeah. I don't know. I still think that
their apology also had a picture of the lamb making out with, I forgot what, like a bird.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, you guys can keep
still enjoy Cult of the Lamb.
Yep. We also had a thing. There's a bunch of mobile game developers that are using Unity. That there's like 15 of them. I won't read them all out because that would be boring. Who basically like have turned off all of the. It's like Unity and then Iron Source ads in their games.
Oh.
Like they just updated it to just turn off the revenue stream and then signed like a solidarity fucking like letter to the editor going just like, this is really important. And so,
Yeah.
you know, we want you to pay attention to us. The strange thing about this one is that unlike a lot of the other stuff, Unity then disabled, I don't exactly know what this is. Unity responded by pausing access to one company's user acquisition features, which is basically, as I couldn't really get a good read on what that is, but it's something that, like, I think that it's something where it gets cross-promoted into other games. You know, when you get an ad on your phone and it's like for another game?
Yeah.
I think it might be that, but that was like their response to one of these people was to then just be like, oh, yeah, well
how's everyone going to find about your game if we don't let you? Yeah.
Who knows?
That's nice and petty of them.
Yeah. Who knows how this is going to go? Well, you know, the CEO of Unity famously came out and said in front of a microphone that he knew was turned on that like any developer that doesn't monetize the ever-living crap out of their game is a fucking idiot. Like those were the exact words. At one point he had talked about floating an idea why like, do you think we can get gamers to pay to reload their guns in like first-person shooters? Like when you ran out of bullets you had to buy more with like real money as opposed to just hitting the reload button.
Jesus
and I'm like,
fucking Christ.
Who is this demon man? Get him out of here.
The thing I don't get is that does anyone that enjoys video games actually work in the business side of video games anymore? Because all they see is dollar bills, and it's crazy where it's just like they're clearly just hamsters on a wheel. Maybe do you think that the hamster will pay us in dollar bills if we let them run on the wheel for 2 minutes longer? And it's just like, you guys are fucking crazy. Like we're humans that do other things. Like we will honestly look at a game and go, money to reload? I'm not gonna fucking do that.
Yeah. The thing is,
didn't companies used to do fucking test markets where they would like talk to people and they would have what happened to that they're just like, the test market is now all of Twitter? I
mean, this goes like way beyond video games, right? To the point where it's like there has become a thing where I have this mental thing I don't talk about a lot. I spend a lot of time thinking about shit like this, but like if you talk to somebody who's had money in their life, who's never not had money, or like where money is a problem, you know, like, I want to buy a Zeppelin, and it's like, well, you don't have enough money to buy a Zeppelin. But like, you know, buying a video game, buying a phone, buying a clothes, buying a meal, any amount of money to do any of those things is just like not a thing because you come from either a wealthy family or whatever.
Yeah.
They honestly do not understand. Like it's a thing where they do not understand what it's like to not have money, and it turns them into weirdos where it's just like, you know, most normal people understand, like, you know, if you're driving and your tire goes out and you're like, oh, fuck. And part of that is like, fuck, this is an inconvenience, but it's also like, okay, and then I'm going to have to take time off work. It's going to be like $200. I'm going to have to get 2 tires replaced. I had to figure out how long is it till my paycheck? Do I have enough money left in my bank account to do this? I got a lot, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Whereas they never have to think about it.
Yeah.
And so when somebody complains about it, their response is just like, well, just buy new tires. I mean, how hard is that? Like, what are you, stupid? Just go to the tire store and buy new tires. Like, don't go into work today. Your secretary will hold all your calls for you.
Yeah.
And then just, like, you know, throw your fucking Amex Platinum card at them and be like, put new tires on my car, my good man. I will take the best tires in the entire tire salon, you know? So I think that as these industries have become bigger and bigger, that gap has gotten wider and wider to the point where it's like, the video game industry used to be a lot more like what you're describing, where it's like we're going to test market, we're going to do stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that over the years, what's happened is that every time they screw us, nobody loses. Like they never lose. When Cyberpunk 2077 came out and it was a rushed, hurried bullshit mess, and every platform allowed unlimited amounts of refunds, like 10% of people refunded the broken video game that they were purchased. Like right now, 3 years later, we're finally getting like a good version of that video game, but it took 3 years. Like they put out the horse armor for Skyrim and everybody was like, boo. But then it didn't stop them from, or Oblivion, but it didn't stop them from buying Oblivion. Like Fortnite is monetized out the yang, but kids still play it because that's not important to them. And I think that as your generation shift, that like young people have never lived in a world where a game isn't monetized and DLC'd and subscription based and et cetera, so they don't even know what it's like. And gamers as a whole are very bad about being like, so if you do this, then fuck yourself.
Yeah, they're really, I think gamers are probably one of the worst at putting their money where their mouth is and being like, if you don't like it, do not buy it. And then very quickly are like, well, I'm not going to pre-order it, but you know, like I'm going to buy it. I'll buy it.
Right.
Yeah, I'll wait a little bit, but I'll buy it. And it's just like, you guys really don't know how to stick to your guns. It is.
Yep.
Not that hard.
Steam has unlimited refunds.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to give them an excuse. You can just be like, oops, I did the wrong thing. Give me back my $70. They'll be like, okay. Because it's such a big market that it doesn't even matter. Like no developer is going to feel the pinch from you taking back your $70 because they've got a gajillion people who are like, well, the game is broken, but I guess I'll just leave it in my Steam library and check back in 2 years.
Yeah, I was going to say, but like Steam especially is so famous for having the people buying games and never playing them.
Yeah.
They're just you're collecting, you fucking weirdos. You buying shit, you ain't even using it.
Yeah.
I try.
Yep.
But I don't do that.
I play all of them for at least 40 minutes.
That's something. Some people won't even run it.
I stopped buying like Humble Bundles and stuff because it was just like, it's
too much. There's too many.
So. Speaking of too many games, we had a weird situation last week with Microsoft. We had a huge leak. Part of the Microsoft FTC negotiations, they have wrapped up. But at the end, Microsoft was supposed to wrap up all of the documents that they were they used during this and submit them to the California court where all this shit went down. They handed the court a link to a cloud storage that had all these documents on it. The court put the link on their website because that's what you have to do. It's public record.
Yeah.
Someone on Reset Era went and took a look at those documents and found that there was a whole bunch of them that were supposed to be heavily redacted that were not heavily redacted.
Oops.
And there is a lot of information in here. Now, all of this stuff is outdated. It's all from 2022. But... And, you know, the other thing is that Phil Spencer came out and is like, oh, boo. Like he put out a tweet saying, we've seen the conversation around our old emails and documents. It is hard to see our team's work shared in this way because so much has changed and there's so much to be excited about right now and in the future. We will share the real plans when we are ready. That's all cool. But I
mean, what else can you say? Can you guys please not look at those leaked documents?
Yeah, that we leaked.
Yeah, we accidentally leaked ourselves.
Yeah. So I don't actually feel as bad. Like I've had some ethical questions from time to time about like hackers dumped all this Grand Theft Auto stuff. Like, should I deal with it? And the answer is yes, because I don't.
It's a corporation. Look, if you're gonna steal from Walmart, you're gonna steal from Walmart, and I don't really give a shit.
But in this one, we got a lot of stuff.
It's not an Xbox. Sorry.
So our first thing was there was a few different interesting hardware refresh designs that came out of this. An Xbox Series X all digital hardware refresh, as well as a Series S and a controller. Let's start with the Series X that, as Amanda pointed out, is not box-shaped.
It's a cylinder.
Well, the X cylinder doesn't roll off the tongue.
Well, yeah, but I'm not going to call it a box. That's
X-tube.
ridiculous. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, it's circular. It doesn't have an optical drive. It has
that makes sense. Where would it go?
The power. Overall power consumption has been reduced by like 15%, so it's like less power hungry than it used to be.
Same.
Wi-Fi 6E, so faster Wi-Fi for faster downloads. And then 2 terabytes of internal storage, and then the same price as the previous one, so $499. This was the first big thing.
Yeah.
According to the roadmap for this would be coming out next year. In fact, they talked a lot about how one of the things that they would do is they would discount by $50 all of the existing hardware on Black Friday of next year, and then to get rid of it, and then put this stuff out holiday for people buying the new one. Personally, I think that this. I mean, you know what? There's another stat that should. That should be brought out. I don't have a story for it, but I read through. Kotaku had a good here's 11 things that came out of that leak, and one of them that I didn't have as a story here was that in 2022, 75% of Xbox of current 9th gen Xboxes were Xbox Series S's. That only 25% of the Xboxes in the wild were Xbox Series X's. And the good one, or well, I mean, the 4K, the more high power
top
one,
tier one, yeah.
And that more people were purchasing the Series S, which doesn't have a drive, and it only does 1080p, and it's
it's almost like people can't afford expensive shit right now,
right? But it's interesting to think that now apparently this year, the latest we heard is that number has evened out, but still 50-50 for the lower tier version, and I think it
it kind of makes sense to me, but.
I mean, I think it makes sense, but I think it's got to be incredibly frustrating for developers because they can't. Microsoft has a clause that says you can't put out a game with features that only work on the more high power machine.
Yeah.
And the Series X and the PlayStation 5 are somewhat comparable in their hardware. So you could say, oh, we're gonna shoot towards that spec, but now you have to make sure that it also works on this kind of
shittier one.
Well, I mean, it's a step between an Xbox One X and an Xbox Series X, right? It sits between the two of those.
Yeah.
So that's got to be. I mean, it's just got to be incredibly infuriating as a developer because Baldur's Gate was being delayed because they couldn't get split screen to work on the Xbox Series S because it's not powerful enough to render the game twice, and they finally made a one-time. It doesn't have to be the same on both in order to get it out there because Baldur's Gate was so crazy. But so anyway, also the Series S is relatively similar. Again, it's got the more reduced power. It's got a little bit more internal storage at 1 terabyte. It's the same price at $300.
That looks like one of those comm things on the wall that on Star Trek, the original Star Trek, where you'd be
they go over and be
go down to engineering.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're on a submarine, you're on a space submarine.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Where you just talk right into that part.
Yep.
You just need 2 red buttons on there.
It's got the Wi-Fi. They both have some kind of crazy audio thing. I don't care about. It was 3D audio. I don't
I don't know what that means.
Trying to hawk that shit to me for so long, and I'm just no, I don't care.
Yeah. I'll stick with my 2D audio, thank you.
And then both of these are supposed to come with this new controller. The mock-up for it is this
it's
weird
got pants.
two-tone where it does look like it has pants.
He's got little pants on. He needs a little belt.
This is probably the most interesting thing for this because, one, it's got removable sticks on just the base as opposed to you just have to get the Elite in order to do that. It's got the haptic feedback and accelerometer that the DualShock 5 has, which has turned out to be very popular. It's got apparently it's got the accelerometer will allow you to wake on just if you set it down and it goes into power save, when you pick it up, it'll sense that and just turn itself on.
Yep.
It's got quieter buttons and sticks, so you don't get as much clackety.
That's part of the fun. What do you guys want? Silent typewriters? Fucking weirdos.
One of the things, though, that I think is really interesting about it is this. One of the bullet points is called Direct to Cloud. So Stadia has a controller. I have one, actually, where it was if you're playing a game in the cloud, right? Instead of having your controller attached to your device so that when you go to move your character, the controller talks to the device, sends that to the cloud moves, and it comes back, you would connect your controller directly to your Wi-Fi hotspot, and so that when you move the controller, it would send that directly to the cloud
Cutting
device.
out the middleman.
Yeah. To make it faster, which is great. That's a great thing to add into their controller, even though the xCloud is still garbage.
Yeah.
But
it's good in theory to do this, but
yeah. So I don't know. All of these are kind of supposed to be in the same thing. I would actually buy the controller. The controller is supposed to be $70, which is kind of what a controller is.
Yeah, it's like average.
And for the haptic feedback and the, that's a good amount of stuff. None of the rest. I would never trade in my Series X for this tube.
For the cylinder? You don't want the cylinder?
The tube.
I love the Series X.
Yeah.
I love the monolith.
The big block.
Yeah, that is great. You kidding me?
I still want that fridge.
I know. I keep running into it and being like, I wonder if Jeff ever got it.
Well, I don't want to. But then, by the same token, I don't want to have the ability to store beers in this room. I want to have to go downstairs to get another beer.
Don't put beers in it, Jeff.
Well, what? I don't drink soda.
Drink. I don't know what else you could possibly drink. How are you, an iced tea fan?
Yes. I don't know. Any thoughts on these? I mean, this is kind of like just some.
It's not a box.
That's all I got.
It's all I got. This is very upsetting on a personal level.
Every Xbox to date has been some form of rectangle.
It's supposed to fit in the square hole.
Yep. No 90-degree angles.
Those toys where it's where does the circle go? It goes in the circle hole.
Oh, right.
It doesn't go in the square hole.
Like that thing with the lady watching the person
the guy keeps putting it in the square hole.
It goes in the square hole. Okay. We also got also having a Series XB digital only has once again stoked fears. I think that this war is lost, to be honest.
Yeah.
But what about game preservation when all of your games are digital because you literally don't even have a disk drive in your console? I get that. I really do. And I really wish that the game companies would come together or some third party to be like, we're going to create kind of a master archive or like a Library of Congress type of thing for games. Because we had a report like a year ago that was like a bunch, like somebody did the math and they were like, there's like 50,000 games that are just gone, like old arcade games and old computer games.
We're going to be talking about this stuff the way they used to talk about television, where they're like, back in the day, you wouldn't save it. So you would just burn the fucking film and then reuse that film for new stuff. And it's just like, I think Gerard, the completionist on YouTube, he does a thing like, Nintendo was shutting down, I think, one of their stores. And he bought, he bought everything on there so that he could preserve all of it. Like, he actively is creating a museum, or trying to anyway.
Yep. And
I think it's like, it's important. It's weird to just be like, I guess it's gone forever and like not care.
Yeah.
But money, I guess, whatever.
I'm really split on this because on the one hand, I do agree that it is important for the history to be preserved. On the other hand, I personally have no interest in. Like, I will not want to go back and play the Xbox 360 version of... Actually, that's not true. There's like 4 games that I want to go back and play, but the thing that I have when it comes to preservation is I want to play PS2 games, and they are not playable.
Yeah.
Like, the limitation in backwards compatibility has made it so that a lot of games that I just can't play. And I don't know. Like, I know that there are a lot of... we talk about film preservation, right? So there were a lot of movies... Not every movie ended up on VHS. Not every VHS ended up on DVD.
Yep.
Not every DVD ended up on Blu-ray. And not every Blu-ray ended up on streaming.
Yeah.
There are movies out there. My sister was looking for... Was that movie 100 Cigarettes? Like, her husband really liked it.
Yeah.
And it turns out you just couldn't buy it. Like, it was like the DVDs. It was really difficult to find.
Yeah.
And that... it was, if a company didn't bother to spend the money, then you would just lose it.
Yeah, it was just gone forever.
Yeah.
You gotta pray that somebody was going to stream it, or you can find it online because somebody had.
So I guess what I'm saying is,
VHS.
Hey, Vinegar Syndrome, go start putting Saturn games in your library.
I mean, honestly, yeah, and then you're going to pay double for it. Vinegar Syndrome is expensive. We need a Criterion collection for video games.
I think they have. No. No. I was gonna say, isn't that greatest hits? Well, actually, there is a company. We're gonna talk about it later. There's a company that made, just recently, Michael and I played it, where it was called The Making of Karateka, and it was like all of this old interviews and design docs and the original games that Jordan Mechner made, and like going through his whole design process, how it was made. It had like 4 or 5 different versions of the game, and it was all on like a timeline, and you could look through it. It's great. I mean, it was obviously a shitload of work, and you couldn't do it for like everything.
Yeah.
But one of the other things, and this is actually way more important than I think people might not understand at first, that we got is that so in addition to those refreshes, there was also some talk about the timeline for the new Xbox, like the Xbox that comes after the Series X.
Yeah.
For 2028, which would put it, like I think it was like 11 years past the, anyway, it was longer than a lot of the other timelines, basically.
Like generation cycles.
But apparently Microsoft is still trying, or at least at that point that these memos were leaked, is still trying to decide whether to use ARM or x86 processors in the next Xbox. So I only understand about 70% of this, but I'm gonna try. Okay, so x86 is what's in your computer.
Yes,
it's like your normal Intel or AMD processors are all x86. That's what the PS5, that's what the Xbox Series X has. They all run basically PC games, which makes it easy for them to go kind of back and forth.
Yeah,
ARM is what's in your cell phone. And ARM processors are also in tablets. They're in the Nintendo Switch. They're in a lot of other things. If anybody who wants to go look it up, ARM processors are what are called RISC processors, RISC. They're like restricted in the number of processes they can do. And then computer processors are, I believe they're CISC, CISC, which is like open, so they can run a lot more processes, which is why you can kind of overload like a PC, and why your cell phone doesn't, like, it'll heat up, but it doesn't like just crash. Well, it's not supposed to.
Yeah.
But then
if it does, that means that there's a lot going on with your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the big thing is that RISC processors, because cell phones and especially things like the Steam Deck and portable systems like the Switch have been becoming more and more popular, have become more and more stronger and stronger, to the point where you could beef up an ARM processor, put it into a console, and you would have a much easier time than having anything that was developed with like mobile in mind running on that. And additionally, I believe a lot of ARM processors have ways of running PC architecture. So it would kind of give you a best of both worlds.
But wouldn't ARM, so like, I don't know, totally don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But wouldn't a game like Baldur's Gate not be able to run on something like ARM?
I think.
Do you know what I mean? Like, when you say beef it up, are you like they're literally fucking roid raging it out so that it would function like that? But then why put all that extra effort in if you could just do?
So let me tell you this. Last week we had a story. The new iPhones came out, and during the iPhone presentation, they showed that the new iPhones can run natively Resident Evil Village, Resident Evil 4 remake. Like, they can run those games on just the phone, on the hardware that's in the phone. Like, that was a game I ran on my PS5, and the iPhone screens as well are like high density HDR. They look really good. So the thing is that because mobile gaming and mobile usage has become so elevated, it's gotten to the point where you could get probably comparable performance out of an ARM processor running, out of one of the newer ARM processors running Baldur's Gate, right?
Yeah.
Especially if it was custom designed in a way to be like, it's an ARM processor, but it's not like it doesn't have to be as diminished as to run on a cell phone and not kill your whole battery.
Yeah.
You get a lot. It's going to be plugged into the wall. It's going to be plugged into a TV. So I don't know. I'm actually not super well versed in this, and I just kind of read this article, and apparently there's a question about whether that decision has even been made, like in the documents.
I mean, it's 2028. They still have plenty of time, right?
Well,
I mean, I like, this isn't,
It's supposed to happen in calendar year 23. Like, this is their
their timeline. Yeah.
So ARM 64 decision is supposed to be done by the end of calendar year 23. So they might still be working on it, because the thing is that once they make that decision, that's going to really make a difference to everything that happens going forward.
Yeah.
So,
Does that mean that they'd be more likely to have a handheld console?
possibly. It might be that...
Do you know what I mean? Like, if that's what Steam Deck is using, why wouldn't they?
It's possible that they might be looking at using, like, if they're getting more and more into, like, the streaming tech, they might be trying to combine, like, something like an ARM processor that works in a phone, that can stream, that can also work in a console, that can do the rendering. I don't know. It's possible. Who knows?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay, 2028 Xbox. We got a big list of games.
Oops, all games.
Yes. This was a big list that came out that had a lot of games that some of them...
Wasn't there like a thing that it's like Bethesda games? It wasn't really a lot else or something?
It was mostly ZeniMax. Mostly ZeniMax and the studios that were owned, because ZeniMax owns Bethesda, but they also own id and whoever made Arcane and those companies.
Okay.
So, Tango Gameworks. So the big things here, and it's unclear whether these are all for real, because as was said, this was a year old, was a remaster of Oblivion, of Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, a remaster of Fallout 3, a Doom game called Doom Year Zero by id, the Indiana Jones game, a sequel to Ghostwire Tokyo, and Dishonored 3. So after Arcane did Redfall and all the poopy butt stuff, like going back to Dishonored from there. A lot of those, I mean, like, okay, Oblivion remaster, Fallout 3 remaster, those are like, outsource those. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Or like, people care. I would totally play a Fallout 3 remaster. I really like Fallout 3.
Yeah.
But yeah. Doom Year Zero, that makes sense. We haven't heard shit from id since Doom Eternal came out. Doom Eternal and Doom 2016 were both very popular, so if they were making another one, like, that wouldn't surprise me at all. We already knew about the Indiana Jones game. Ghostwire Tokyo sequels, interesting.
Yeah.
And apparently, when you go back and you look at it, the internal notes also said that there were, at its height, 6 million players that played Ghostwire Tokyo. So, like, a lot of people that I know were like, not really, not into it.
Yeah.
But apparently it did very well. So
interesting.
Yeah. Seeing that from Tango Gameworks. Also, part of this was talking about Elder Scrolls 6. And when you look at this, or this isn't the same one, there was another kind of thing that they had. It was part of their... it was part of this chart that had like a bunch of different games, and it kind of showed like why or like whether they were going to be on the Xbox and like where they were. And one of them was Elder Scrolls 6, and it was listed as basically
Xbox exclusive, or
like Xbox and PC only. And so they've been very coy about whether that's the case or not. Like, because
you'll find out eventually.
Like last week, I think it was it Phil Spencer or somebody had one of these non-answers about just like, well, we want to make sure that our players are good to play wherever they want to, and so we're going to do a lot of more looking into this and blah 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 blah. They don't want to say it because it's going to cause a backlash, because you're taking this very 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 popular franchise off of 1/3 of game, 1/4 maybe of game consoles if you count Microsoft, Nintendo, PlayStation, and PC as but I mean, it makes anybody that has a PlayStation be like
real pissy.
Boo! I want to play Elder Scrolls.
That's on you.
Like,
you shouldn't have gotten a PlayStation.
Yep. So yeah, that's been kind of locked down. Let's see. We're just gonna push through and finish this up real fast.
Okay.
So
instant regret.
So I may regret this because we're going a little bit over. We're about an hour right now, and this is kind of a big story.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Yakuza Like a Dragon. So when Yakuza Like a Dragon came out in December of 2020, I believe, it was on the PlayStation 4 in the West. It came out on the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, and then the Xbox Series X and S, but not the PlayStation 5. And it took until, I believe it was February, for that to happen. And everybody was like,
but why?
But why? And it turns out that it's because of a bunch of contracts that Sega signed that created a very weird feedback loop. So here's how it goes. Sony had a 12-month exclusivity deal with Sega for the PlayStation release of Like a Dragon in Japan and Asia. Microsoft couldn't release the Xbox version of the game in Japan until that deal was over. However, Microsoft also had a contract with Sega where Sega said that it had a parity clause where Sony couldn't put out a next-gen SKU of Like a Dragon until Microsoft had also put theirs out. And because Microsoft couldn't do anything until the exclusivity rights were up in Japan, that meant that they couldn't release the next-gen version, which meant that Sony couldn't release their version. It took me a little while to wrap my head around this, and it's easier if you look at it from a timeline. So what happened was Yakuza Like a Dragon released in Japan in February of 2020 on the PS4 only.
Yes.
In November, it released on the PS4, the Xbox One, and the Xbox Series X everywhere in the world except Japan. Japan only had the PS4 version. Then, in February, Xbox was allowed to release their version in Japan, and then shortly thereafter, the PS5 version came out in Japan. But what that meant was that up until that had happened, when it came to doing the worldwide release, that, like, they were blocked from releasing in Japan, but they kind of got everything else.
Yeah.
And it turned into a thing. And apparently, according to the internal emails, this wasn't like intentional.
Yeah.
This was just contract spaghetti.
Yeah.
When they looked at it, they were like, wait a minute, we can't release this because we can't. They have to release theirs. And we said they can't release theirs until February. Oh fuck, man.
Yeah. It's like playing telephone with contracts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so they ended up being like, then they got their marketing machine into gear. They were like, yeah, first on the Series X. It's a big exclusive. We got it just for you gamers. Woo.
I mean, if it works.
Yes. Oh, boy. You know what? Fuck it. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We'll do lightning rounds. Well, I don't know. There's a lot more news, and we talked about corporations for longer than expected. Yeah. I don't know why I didn't expect. We should obviously block out 40 minutes for you and me to complain about corporations.
I mean, you know, it happens.
All right. We'll be right back. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Here we are. You said goodbye, but then here you are.
I came back. I didn't even leave. I've been here the whole time.
All right. We got a lot more news left to go.
Good.
Let's get to it.
Lightning round.
Part of the Microsoft leak was that Microsoft themselves were unclear about whether Red Dead Redemption 2 was going to be getting like a next-gen patch update, which it hasn't gotten. Grand Theft Auto 5 did, but
they're like, I don't know.
Yeah. But it was on this kind of list of things where they were trying to get various. It was like a bunch of games. When Starfield was pushed, they started looking at various games that they could buy onto Game Pass.
Yeah.
And one of the ones that was on this list was this potentially like, oh, you know, who knows? This is probably going to happen. Still hasn't happened to this day. Just goes to show that, like, you think somebody at Microsoft could, like, I don't know, pick up the phone and be like, hey, it's Microsoft. Are you guys doing a next-gen patch? Like, we'd like to have it, please. This was an interesting thing because it also kind of showed some of the amounts of money that they would wanted to pay for stuff. It appears that one of the big ones was the Star Wars Jedi Survivor. That was going to be like $300 million. One of the other things, though, that came out about this is that apparently Microsoft considered Baldur's Gate 3, and they considered it to be like some bullshit. Like, it was at the bottom of this list, and it was literally listed as like second run Stadia PC RPG.
Wow.
and then it wouldn't be that interesting. It would be something that people would really want.
I wish that was redacted. Hurt people's feelings on accident.
Part of it too was the fact that, like, you know, when Baldur's Gate 3 came out and it sold as well as it did, like Sven Vincke, the head of the studio, was like, we didn't expect this to be.
I wouldn't have expected it, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I was excited for it, but then when it came out, and it was just like, oh shit, okay, people are all over this. So let's see, and then I think we're kind of getting close to the end of this. The last kind of thing here was Phil Spencer talking with internally with about buying Valve or Nintendo. That they still want to buy Nintendo really badly.
Don't we all?
Part of it is
Did Nintendo just spit in his face?
Well, there's
he reached out his hand in friendship and they spat in his mouth.
There's an old famous story that apparently when Microsoft was booting up the Xbox, that they went to try to purchase Nintendo, and the Nintendo executives just laughed at them. Like in the business meeting, they laughed at them for like an hour, and then we're like, no, thank you.
He like sat there the whole time just waiting, like, this might mean something good.
It's funny though, because apparently they're looking at it in the long run, because Phil Spencer's talking about waiting for like the management at Nintendo to change and then kind of taking another run at it once they get some younger blood in there that might be more willing to make a deal, especially if they're willing to let their games go onto Microsoft hardware. I think it'd be really weird if in the year 2030 you were playing the new Mario game on an Xbox. Feels wrong. Feels wrong.
I really don't like it.
I don't like it.
It's making my skin itch a little.
Yeah. And then, you know, Valve, they've made overtures towards Valve in the past, but the problem with both Nintendo and Valve is that they're both insanely wealthy and really uninterested in being owned by anybody.
Yeah.
So
I don't understand. That's just... You can't tame those wild horses.
Yeah, I think Valve's official response to this news was like,
just a picture of Gabe's dick.
We are at this point not looking for any investment or acquisition.
Yeah.
So
we don't need a new daddy.
Yeah. Let me just roll through this here real fast and see. Nope, that was a different story. See if there was anything big that I missed here. But we got those. Baldur's Gate 3. Yeah, they were apparently like kind of unimpressed at the PS5 reveal. They were just like, it's fine.
Same, to be honest. Not that I was super impressed with the Xbox, though.
Yeah. Yep. So that was pretty much it. I mean, there's a few other things in there, but not a lot. But, you know, it's interesting to see such a big... We don't get that much behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's so juicy to get all the like little nuggets of what happens back behind the scenes, behind the curtain. You know what I mean?
That's why I want more game companies.
Sloppier than you think, though.
I want more game companies to sue each other, because then they have to say out loud in court, like, how much did that cost? And they have to be like,
I'd rather not say.
So
rather admit to the murders.
Speaking of Nintendo, there's been some controversy this week. Amanda, are you aware of what Mortal Kombat 1 looks like on the Nintendo Switch?
A little bit, yeah. So I was like, oh, I didn't know it was going to be on the Switch. And then I looked up a little bit of it, and I was like, oh, never mind. I'm okay. I don't need to play it that bad.
The big thing is that the eyes on the Switch version are like this weird.
Forgot to give eyelids to people.
Yeah, like nobody's got like a facial expression. You can see like the shirt in this side by side with Johnny Cage. Like this shirt is just completely shiny, and this one has like, you know,
texture
stuff
like
to it.
It's an actual fabric.
His hair looks like almost a human, and here it looks like Johnny Cage is like he's seen his bank account dwindle in this screenshot.
Jesus Christ.
There have been a few people online that are talking about like people should demand refunds for this.
I mean, frankly, and I mean this with all sincerity.
Yeah.
If you bought the Nintendo Switch Mortal Kombat, that's on you.
Yeah.
You have a Switch, you know that it's not capable of running this kind of game.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what to tell you, but that shit's weird. It's like buying a shitty computer and then being surprised that your PC game doesn't run as nicely on it. Like,
right.
I didn't buy a Nintendo because I wanted to play these kinds of games.
Yeah.
So it's always real weird when people like try to push the oh, I can't believe it looks like this. It's like, you should have known it was going to look like this. Isn't Nintendo's not brand spanking. The Switch is not brand spanking new.
Yeah.
You know what it's going to be.
Also, I'm pretty sure this exact same thing happened when the last Mortal Kombat game came out.
Yeah.
That the Switch version was didn't look as good.
Yeah. Anytime like a AAA game that looks really nice that is also on the Switch, people always do these side by sides and then go, oh, I can't believe this is an insult to gaming. And it's like, what do you guys? Come on.
Yeah. Ed Boon has come out and said that they're going to work on it. Obviously,
don't. It's perfect.
but that's not. Strangely enough, that's not the only.
It's like we know
controversy that has happened, because there was the launch trailer for Mortal Kombat 1. It's hard to see on this one because it happens in the corner, but the launch trailer for Mortal Kombat 1 literally had somebody messed up real bad. Had a thing in the corner that was a Steam achievement.
Oops.
In the footage that was shown.
Oh my God, that's pretty bad.
Now, obviously, this is just like they ran the Switch version on a PC to capture footage, but somehow Steam achievements were turned on, and they were like, ooh.
Yeah, probably should have not had that.
That's no good. This has now been delisted, of course.
Yeah, obviously.
The right version has been put up, but yeah. Mortal
Come
Kombat
on,
1.
Ed, embarrassing yourself.
It's good stuff. I liked Mortal Kombat 1 quite a bit.
Haven't played it.
Yep.
I don't like violent games. I only like games where people hug.
This is a very weird story. Speaking of controversy. So, okay. Let's I haven't really talked about this very much, but and I don't know that I feel like wading too far into these waters. There's like this weird shit in Starfield where people are like, there's pronouns in Starfield. And it's like,
there's pronouns in the English language.
Like when you start. Okay, so here's the thing. Okay, let me do the story first and then I'll talk about my thing. Nexus Mods is a big mod site that has various mods. Over the weekend, there was a user that put up a mod on Nexus Mods for Starfield that basically deletes the pronoun selector in the character creation screen for Starfield. So if you choose a dude-looking person, it just defaults to he, him. If you choose a lady-looking person, it just defaults to she, her. There's also a they, them in there. This obviously controls when you're talking to NPCs, whether they refer to you as he, a she, or they, right? They took it out. Nexus Mods then removed that mod from their website and banned the person that made it. And then that, of course, caused a chunk of people on the internet to be like, what, censorship, boo, I'm tired of the woke politics in my games. And then Nexus Mods put out a statement where they were like, we don't give a shit, and if that's your opinion, we're happy to see you go. Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Yeah.
My thoughts on this are that I think that everyone involved in this is stupid. One, after you go through character select, you never. That's you're done.
Yeah.
You pick, and if you pick, as near as I tell, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. In Starfield, if you pick one of the pre-made dude models, it defaults to he, him, and you can switch it if you want. And if you pick one of the more lady-looking models, then it defaults to she, her, and you could change it if you want. Once you've set that, the game doesn't keep asking you over. It's not like the game asks you every 6 hours, would you like to change your pronouns? Would you like to do, blah, 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 blah?
We noticed that your answers have been vaguely feminine. Have you thought about becoming a she, her?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, as near as I can tell, it doesn't. So the idea that you're going to write a whole mod just to take that out is dumb.
Yeah.
On the other hand, this is a single-player video game, and if somebody is so bothered that they want to install a mod to take that one menu item out of the game, it doesn't affect anybody else. Like like the idea that it's like, there was a controversy that happened in Nexus Mods where somebody made a mod for Spider-Man on the PC where they took all of the rainbow LGBT flags and replaced them with American flags.
Oh, I remember that.
And I could kind of more understand that. That's more of like a statement. It affects the game or whatever. But like once you get past the character creation screen, the first thing that happens in the game, outside of the dumb mining tutorial, you're never again in the game asked one way or the other. So like all this mod does is remove a choice at the very beginning of the game.
I'm sorry, but like, why do you need a mod to help you make that fucking choice?
I don't know, because
like whether Nexus, what's it called, Nexus mods allows that or not, that's their prerogative, and I fully support what they're doing.
Sure,
but I think banning the person that made the mod is a little extreme. But like getting rid of that mod, I kind of understand, because what the like you got that. That's some baby shit right there. Like, you can't handle just picking. Like, the game has no idea who you fucking are. It's not like, can you put your genitals on the controller really quick so we know for sure? Like, fuck you. Like, just pick male and then move on. It's not even a political thing. Like, the keep your politics out of it has nothing to do with that.
Sure.
Literally, it is about what you want to be called in the game, because the game doesn't know what you want to be called. Like, what the fuck, guys? And that's some fucking weird, like, getting upset over nothing bullshit.
Yeah. Which again,
touch some fucking grass, you weirdos. But Jesus Christ.
So the thing is, again, it was like, so for me, what you're saying, that's kind of why when I was reading this, I was like, just let them have it. I don't like, it's such a small, stupid thing.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't even care about whether Nexus Mods has it, doesn't have it. I mean, you guys, you have your own thing, you do your own thing, but it's kind of really small potatoes. It's removing one menu option from the first 10 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
The end. Like, it's not changing all the flags to swastikas. Like, so it's I don't know. Let the babies have their applesauce. Like, if that's what they need to feel comfortable.
Having said that, if I was like owner of Nexus mods and somebody did that on my fucking, I would be like, no, you're not doing that. Because, like, I'm sorry, go find somebody else to do your little baby bullshit, because I'm just, pick a choice and just move on, for fuck's sake.
Don't get me wrong.
Like, it's just fucking silly. Like, fucking Pokemon literally asks you, are you a boy or a girl? And you don't see people like, political fucking Pokemon, blah, blah, blah. Like, god damn, you guys are crazy.
Yep. To me, it's one of the stupidest versions of this particular culture war thing that has ever happened, because it's like, the game is going to refer to you by a pronoun. Which one would you like?
And then
then it's like,
this is a political thing because people use have pronoun. Like, they don't even have neo pronouns in there. You know what I mean? There is no zer and zim. There's no other like version of a pronoun that you've never heard. It is literally just she, her, he, him, they, them.
Yep.
That is standard fucking English 101. Pronouns are used in regular conversation bullshit. That's fucking nutty. Like, my god, you guys, come on.
Yeah,
there's like genuine conversations to be had about pronouns and transgender people and identity and what all that means. This genuinely has nothing to do with it. So then it's like, what is this? It's just so fucking exhausting. Like, fuck, you guys would rather be mad about nothing than actually have a genuine conversation.
Yeah. Again,
touch grass.
It's the first 10 minutes of the game. It defaults to what you look like. I don't understand the problem.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly don't understand why you would go through the process of installing this.
Yeah.
Because it's, again, the game doesn't keep asking you over and over again every time, like every chapter, or suggesting that you change them or anything like that. Yeah, it's just like the first time you play the game, you're like, yep, there you go, done.
Yeah.
And
the funny thing is, though, you putting in the mod and then like it going that is essentially choosing your pronouns. It's just like doing it without blatantly asking you. Yeah. So if you guys want to have that, that's just, fine. Whatever.
It's one of the dumber.
If you want to add more steps into answering the exact question that you're trying to avoid, that's fine with me. I don't give a fuck.
Yep. That's some dumb shit.
Not on my Nexus mods, though.
Some dumb shit. Everybody needs to calm the fuck down.
So fucking silly.
Everybody needs to calm down.
God.
Yeah. Okay, listen, here's the thing. Just really briefly. Like, this one to me really cements the thing where it's just like, there's a famous YouTuber who made a whole rant and just, are you putting your... they make money off of that.
Yeah,
it's money.
Rage farming is 100% a thing.
Like it's one fucking drop down menu at the beginning of a 200-hour video game.
Yeah.
That's just making you mad for money. That's what that is. Like, you're being manipulated. This is not the hill. This is not the even if you want to give credence to all the stuff that they talk about that I don't really agree with.
Yeah.
This is not the hill to die on.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, it's just it is a waste of time.
Yeah.
Like it's just so that people will watch and get mad.
Yep.
It's so people will react, or people high five themselves over agreeing. It's all the same thing.
I think it's stupid. It's stupid.
It's dumb. Speaking of dumb.
Speaking of dumb, yeah. Let's talk about Denuvo.
Denuvo.
So Denuvo is a copy protection scheme, a digital rights management scheme that gets put into a lot of games. It has a very bad reputation of like making games run worse because it keeps having to do these like authenticity checks to servers, and then it will like pause the game to do that. Like, it's supposed to happen really quickly, but a lot of times, like I think it was Resident Evil Village, they hacked out Denuvo and got like 40 more frames per second.
God damn! Come on, Denuvo.
Denuvo also has Denuvo for their part has said that's bullshit. This doesn't have anything to do with us. We want to find their whole thing is they want over the next year to find like neutral critics and then send them a version of the game with Denuvo, a version of the game that doesn't have it, and be like, now I want you to run both and tell me which one runs better.
Yeah. Good luck finding any neutral anything, to be honest.
But Payday 3, which came out the day we're recording this and will be out by the time this comes out, was supposed to launch with Denuvo. Now, a lot of times companies will launch a game with Denuvo and then like 3 or 4 months in, they'll just patch it out because once you've got past the launch window, piracy concerns are no longer as big of a deal.
Yeah.
You don't want everybody to just steal your game on day one.
Yeah. They're like, nah, fuck it.
Yeah. Is it Starbreeze still that's making this? Anyway. Yeah, Starbreeze put out a statement saying they pulled Denuvo from Payday 3 before it launched.
Yeah.
So
I wonder if they did like some, playthroughs and they were like, wow, this runs like shit.
Well, it is an online, it's an online co-op game. So it's possible that if, during QA testing, that somebody was like, hey guys, what happens if we turn this off? And then they were like, oh shit.
Oops.
Yikes. But Denuvo might not be long for this world because I also think that I think the next Tekken game they came out and said like ahead of time, just like it's not going to have it.
Yeah.
Because it's just got such a bad reputation over the years.
Not good.
Like a decade. Like it's had a bad reputation. So
only in this fucking industry can you have a bad reputation for a decade and still be running. Sorry.
Fortnite.
Yeah.
Speaking of online multiplayer games, the FTC. So we talked about previously about how Epic Games paid out $245 million to the FTC over a lawsuit with Fortnite that basically involved how easy it is to get V-Bucks and spend them, and how there's not a lot of guardrails there for younger players, and how the game really entices them into doing stuff.
Yeah.
Not just that, but apparently
parents that are like, why do I have this bill for $100?
Well, then apparently part of it was that like if your kid spends the money and then you do a chargeback, Epic's move at that point is to lock that Fortnite account and just like forever.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I mean, maybe they should though.
I don't know. Having played Fortnite a little bit, like it is. I don't have a problem with microtransactions, but like they got a lot of cool fucking shit in that game where I'm just like, damn, is that Doom guy? Damn, is that the guy from My Hero Academia? Damn, is that a Stormtrooper? I want all of them.
Yeah. I wish they'd make an option that you could just turn that off.
Yeah.
You can just lock it yourself, like a parental control.
Oh, I mean, like every console has parental controls for financial stuff. Parents are just too stupid to turn them on.
That's fair. Okay.
I've been saying for years, every time the question comes up of just like, my kid spent all this money in FIFA.
Like, there's parental controls. Okay.
For years, we have had
because I've never had to worry about it, so I never have to look it up. So
I think what happens is that they put like the parents that even engage with it put a code in, and then their kid keeps coming and asking them. Eventually, they just give them the password instead of like going into the other room and typing it in and
that's
being like, "Don't look at it."
go if you're that kind of parent.
Yep. On the other hand, I mean, Fortnite is Epic makes a shitload of money off of Fortnite, and the idea that it's like put some guardrails in there for younger kids.
Yeah.
Anyway, all this is to say that now, so they paid their settlement, but now the FTC has put up a full-on website for you to basically register to be part of this class action settlement. So they paid a $245 million. The FTC is giving that money back to the people who were harmed by this. So you can go up, and there are broad categories here. If you were charged in-game currency for items you didn't want between January 2017 and September 2022, that was another thing they said, where it was way too easy to accidentally buy stuff.
Yeah.
And there was no way to refund it if you did.
Yeah.
If your child made charges to your credit card without your knowledge between January 27th and November 2018, if your account was locked between January 2017 and September 2022, after you complained to your credit card company about charges, you can go over to the FTC website and register. And then in January, this is one of those things with class actions, right? How much money gets paid out to each person depends on how many people sign
register
up
for it. Yeah.
So if you fall in any one of those categories, RageSelect Analytics says probably not, but hey.
Yeah, you never know.
If you do, go do it.
What does RageSelect Analytics say? Like 30-year-old dudes?
Mostly 30-year-old dudes.
Nice.
Some people, some younger, some older.
Hi,
some
my
ladies.
demographic.
Let's see.
Well, if it isn't my demographic.
Titanfall 2 suddenly came back online for multiplayer. So
was it not online?
No, it had been shut down for a little while. Actually, for a while. But yeah, suddenly there was a patch that came out and it fixed some bugs.
How did people know?
Because there are crazy people who...
They're just like fucking refreshing 24/7, just waiting for something to happen?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we found there was a story like a few months ago that we did where it was like a bunch of teenagers that found that the Shadowrun Xbox 360 online multiplayer game was so empty that like this person and their friends, basically it was just like it was their game. They could all just get online and play it because the servers were still online, but nobody else was playing it.
Yeah.
So it's always just like if anybody's online, it's me or my crew, and we're just playing back and forth. So
that's kind of amazing.
Yeah. Anyway, it came back online, and not just that, but as I mentioned, it had some updates. There's also some weird stuff happening there where there's these little like in Apex Legends, which is kind of tangentially related to Titanfall 2, there was this kind of Harbinger collection event that had that referenced these like Nessies, which are these little like mascot guys that showed up in Titanfall 2.
Okay.
And so there was it was like one of these ARG things where there were like 3 codes, and it turns out that when they looked at them that they were the release dates of Titanfall 1, Titanfall 2, and Apex Legends. So there might be some big thing happening in that space at some point. EA has been consistently saying for a long time that Titanfall 3 is not a thing. They're not working on any Titanfall games, even though Titanfall 2 rules, and I love it.
I feel like I've been lied to by them before.
Yeah. Well, there's not really a good answer for that, where it's like either you've been lying to me for like 5 years straight, or there actually is nothing, and either way I'm disappointed. So yeah. Let's see. Speaking of crazy online stuff, this is a really funny story. The Final Fantasy 14 Twitter account put out a video of Colonel Sanders. No, this is the KFC Japan account of Colonel Sanders looking over the land of Final Fantasy 14 and then pulling out like a black mage like staff and summoning, like doing a really big mage summon.
Yeah. Oddly enough, I've seen this.
Have you?
Yeah. Of all things, the one story I know about is fucking Colonel Sanders.
How did you find out about this?
It just showed up on my Twitter. I think Michael interacted with it and showed up on my Twitter.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We're unclear what's going on.
It just exists.
No more information than that. It's probably like KFC has more ties to Japanese companies than other places. There's probably going to be some kind of food tie-in. But what was really interesting was this led me to some interesting stuff. Let's see here. One was there was a Butterfinger tie-in for Final Fantasy 14 that gave you a chocolate mount that you could, it was like a big chocolate ball that you could ride around in the game.
Yeah, that looks hard to look at.
But the one that was weirder to me was this. There's a fat chocobo mount that you could get.
Nice.
And this was in China. But okay, so go with me here.
China, the Chinese chicken.
This was at KFC. And you had to get this family meal and eat it at KFC
in front of them.
In order, you couldn't take it away. You had to eat it there in order to get the code for this. Now,
I feel like that's an insult. They're like, here, get your little fat chocobo, you fucking lard ass.
Fat.
You know what I mean?
Here's the thing. Let me run down for you what you had to eat for this.
Yes, sir.
1 double chicken burger, 1 vegan mushroom burger, 1 5-piece chicken nuggets, 2 original recipe chicken pieces, 1 2-piece New Orleans chicken wings, 1 Old Beijing spicy duck roll, 2 large Pepsis, and 2 peach oolong teas.
You know what? You lost me at the Pepsis, if I'm being honest.
Now, here's the thing. This was listed as like this is a 4-person family deal, right? So, but what I didn't realize until I read further this article was that in order to get this, each person has to eat this. There are 4 of those.
Oh my God.
For your family.
So you're not splitting that. Everybody's eating
eating what I just described. Look, times 4.
I could do it, but I wouldn't feel great about myself afterwards. You know?
I could probably do one of these. I would probably have to fast for a day beforehand, but I might have a hard time.
That's a lot of grease. I mean, I don't know. In China, maybe it's not as greasy as it is in like America, but like that's a lot of fried chicken. 4
drinks is kind of what I'm looking at. Of like, you got to do that last, otherwise you're going to be all sloshing around and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Also, Pepsi.
I was okay until you said Pepsi.
No, genuinely, I was like, I mean, I could do it. And then they're like, 2 Pepsis. I'm like, 2?
2?
2 whole Pepsis? More of like a Coca-Cola girl.
What about Pepsi products? What if it was the full Pepsi lineup?
I guess it depends, because depending on where you are in the States, Pepsi products are different.
Yeah.
Like, they'll be like, Dr. Pepper is a Pepsi product. Dr. Pepper is a Coke product. And you're like, well, which is it?
What about like a diet slice?
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I would
like
do
a Fresca?
Yeah. They're like Mountain Dew, and I'm like, just kill me. It's fine. I don't want a fat chocobo anyway.
Well, that was the other thing about that thing, was that it was a family of 4 ate those meals for 1.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like everybody got one at the end, as all 4 people had to finish all of that meal to get one code for 1 fat chocobo.
Can you imagine you and your like 4 buddies just hitting up different KFCs trying to get one for everybody?
You know what the most insulting thing to me was?
Yeah.
It wasn't even that fat of a chocobo. It really wasn't even that fat of a chocobo.
That's a medium chocobo.
That's a chubby chocobo.
He's like an extra medium.
Yeah. I'm looking for American fat over here, not China fat,
just
okay?
Like fully circular chocobo.
Yeah. I want him to roll.
I want him to get winded while he's running. Hang on a minute.
So, okay, speaking of Final Fantasy, we got some Final Fantasy VII Rebirth news, which is the second in the Final Fantasy VII Reboot trilogy. Apparently, the game is going to be around 100 hours.
That's too many hours, man. I don't have that kind of time.
Which is kind of big, because the first one was around 30 to 40 hours, depending on how many side quests you did.
Damn, so more than double.
Yeah, so more than double for the next one, because the first one all took place inside of Midgar, and then in this one you go out into the world, so you can go to different places.
That's too much.
And it all culminates in the thing that happens that apparently now is a spoiler for a game that's old. I'll tell you off, Mike. I said it one time and people got mad at me.
I need you to know that I don't care.
It's a PSX game. I don't like if you don't know that. It's like I can say that Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father. I know. I can't believe it.
And yet you won't let me spoil Millennium that came out in 1989 starring Chris Christopherson.
I mean, I don't know. I could leave the room. I wanted that because I was thinking about watching it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I was just saying I needed something to watch. You told me something. I'm like,
That's fair.
All right.
Fine.
So, yeah. Big Final Fantasy VII.
Big.
Spider-Man 2 is coming out, and apparently all of the different graphical options all have ray tracing turned on, which is kind of interesting. Huh. So it's going to have 3 different options, 30 frames per second, 40 frames per second. Who plays at 40 frames per second? And 60 frames per second, but then all of them will have some form of ray tracing turned on, so they'll probably be different resolutions.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. Because the last one had ray tracing on, 60 frames, ray tracing off, 30 frames, and then eventually they patched in the third mode that was like a hybrid that had ray tracing on but was also 60 frames per second. That's the only reason I wish that all this hardware would refresh, is so that like all of everything could just be like, it runs in 4K at 60 frames per second with ray tracing turned on. Whatever you have to do to make that happen, do it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm tired of having to choose. I don't want to choose. I want them both. I want them both.
I want it all, and I want it now.
Yeah, god damn it. Yeah. One of the other things that we have found out due to some of the documents, I don't believe these were leaked documents, but they were just like redacted documents, is that apparently Bobby Kotick and Activision had a meeting with Nintendo where they basically showed them the next Switch. Like, this has now gotten to the point where it's like, there is a Switch 2. Like, we know about it. Developers have it. Other people have it.
It's a circle. Oh. Like everything just keeps getting like fucking orbs and shit.
Well, how's the fat chocobo going to fit on the screen? If it's a square, it's going to cut off.
He's got to be. It looks fatter because it's a fisheye lens.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus.
So part of this, if you haven't already seen the news, is that it's going to be using the NVIDIA DLSS to basically do like up-resing. Bobby Kotick came away saying that it was basically the power of a PlayStation 4.
Fuck yeah, we're getting there, Nintendo.
Which is good. No,
yeah,
I mean,
it is good compared to what.
Yeah.
Look, I saw what Mortal Kombat 1 looked like.
Yeah. So it's called the NG Switch right now, next generation Switch. And apparently, wait, did I do that wrong?
Did I do that?
I don't know. I might have messed up that whole thing where I was talking about Black Friday deals to get rid of the old stock. That might have actually been about this, and I'm just too tired to remember. Could be wrong. Anyway, yeah. I kind of wish that Nintendo, I mean, I guess this is why Nintendo doesn't want people leaking this stuff, is because, like, I'm like, okay, could you hurry up and fucking announce that?
Yeah.
Like, tell me when it's going to be out and when I can start pre-ordering it, when I can go make Michael wait in line to get me another Switch.
You monster. You better buy that boy some, like, delicious food or something.
I've tried, but he's a picky eater, so.
Oh, God.
But, yeah, I really do think that the only thing that I'm a little bit concerned about, I'm starting to get more concerned about, is the idea that with all of this AI upsampling stuff that's happened, that developers are going to start relying on that upsampling instead of like streamlining their code base and like making things more efficient.
Yeah.
To the point where then we're going to have games that like only run at 30 frames per second with AI frame generation turned on because they've been so unoptimized that like I want AI generation to get us up to horribly high FPS, not to just like get your badly programmed game over the finish line.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of worried that we might be starting to look down that particular road. So.
Yeah. Fair concern.
Yep. Speaking of games that use AI upsampling, Immortals of Avium was a game that used AMD's upsampling tech on the consoles to hit 60 frames per second and also look relatively nice. Unfortunately, that didn't really help because the studio laid off half their employees this week.
Wow. Was the sales so bad or?
Yes.
Okay.
They put it out in between Baldur's Gate and Starfield when Armored Core was out. Like,
yeah,
they really picked a bad, like, if this, I mean, I keep saying, like, if they released it over the summer when there wasn't anything out, maybe this would have worked. But, like, let's be honest, right now, like, it's been back-to-back bangers. Yeah. Like, there hasn't been a dull point.
In fairness to them, I don't think a lot of we were talking about a lot of people not knowing that Baldur's Gate was gonna be what it was.
Yep, true.
So, I mean, it's a little fair to them that they, you know, they might have thought it was gonna be like a little warm up before Starfield,
right?
You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah. No, that's true. It also was just, I don't know. We tried. Michael and I played it, and I was like, I didn't really like it very much. It was like,
I don't remember hearing anybody talk about it.
It was, you know, it was supposed to be this like weird first-person wizard Call of Duty shooter, and I didn't like the characters or the world. Well, then also when Michael and I played it, we started and it's just like, oh, it's the main character is a plucky orphan with his plucky orphan band of little misfits living in the slums. So, and it was like 40 minutes of exposition and dialogue, and I was just like, when do I get to shoot stuff with my laser beam hands? Like,
yeah.
Come on, man. Come on.
I don't want to care about these children.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
Fair enough.
Yep,
That's a bummer.
They're gonna keep working on it and doing updates, and they might get another.
How? They don't have half their staff.
Well, you know, once you have a game out, you can actually dramatically pare down the amount of people working on it.
That's kind of a bummer, man.
That's why you see huge QA departments get laid off the moment that the game actually comes out, or whole studios sometimes.
Yikes!
Let's see. Speaking of Call of Duty, we got some trailers.
Oh, nice. We still do those?
Yeah. Our first one was Modern Warfare 3 put out a trailer for the Zombies mode.
Nice.
That was a cinematic. Modern Warfare has not ever had a Zombies mode, as I understand it. Like the Modern Warfare sides had like either there was one that had like the alien invasion mode, but that they traditionally, Treyarch used to be the ones that put in the Zombies mode, and Modern Warfare was made by Infinity Ward.
Okay.
So,
so does this mean we're not going to get the cute, kitschy actors doing characters and shit?
Oh.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Or like Ronald Reagan and Fidel Castro.
Like just weirdness. Yeah.
It doesn't seem that way. This whole trailer...
It's pretty straightforward, just zombie Call of Duty.
Has these military guys...
Zomba duty.
And they find this weird... multicolored bisexual lighting canisters, but they reveal
this
that
shit looks like it's part of the LGBTQ community.
Zakhaev, the bad guy from Modern Warfare 2, that's him. He's like the big bad guy from Modern Warfare 3.
Okay.
So they're literally tying this into the story. And then all of the reports have been that the zombie mode for Modern Warfare 3 is going to be a large open map. It's going to be a big open world map as opposed to the expanding map or the smaller...
Yeah, the like unlock to get a little further around and unlock to get further than that.
So yeah, this trailer has a bunch of...
Honestly, you could probably just make a game like this and it would have been a banger.
Oh, just like release just the zombies as its own mode?
Yeah, like its own game, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like, you start to wonder that if you look at like what Call of Duty wants to put out at this point, you've got single player, multiplayer, battle royale, zombies, and it's like, that's too much for one video game.
Yeah, that's
like,
what I'm saying. Like, why not, you know?
Yep. So yeah,
it looks like its own game.
In this trailer, this little cinematic trailer, they find the zombie stuff. They get 2 vials of it. Zakhaev pops one of them, and then all the guys get up and they start running around zombifying and running at the cops.
Thriller night.
And then at the end, it's like a briefing with like the lady and Soap and some other guy. And apparently, I think the idea is that this whole town is now infected, and so you're going in there to search for Zakhaev and clues and junk.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, it looks cool enough.
Yeah.
The zombie modes are always pretty fun, and you know.
I do like it more when they're goofy. I like it more when they're a little goofier.
Yeah, me too. I like when you have the like little voice over the radio telling you what to do, or the like. It looks like it's an old creature feature kind of zombie movie. Yep. You know what I mean? Like,
you got a weird carnival gumball machine in the corner to get machine guns out of.
Give me a little whimsy with my flesh-eating monsters.
Sure. Not anymore.
Make them killer tomatoes next time.
Call of Duty is too serious, except they just put Lara Croft Tomb Raider in, so that happened.
Of course they did.
She looks really good.
She always looks really good.
Last week there was actually a whole Cyberpunk 2077 kind of presentation for the new expansion that's coming next week. We're not going to do all that. I watched a little bit of it. It looks pretty good. We did get a launch trailer though, with, you know, as if having Keanu Reeves in your game wasn't good enough. The expansion is Idris Elba is your main guy.
Nice.
So we had this little 5-minute trailer of Idris Elba cyber spy leaving Night City on a train and kind of talking to this handler who then appears to like screw him over, and then he gets.
Is this just Bullet Train?
Sort of. Well, this is the setup, right? She seems real emotional about.
Somebody got real forgiving about making Idris Elba look a little younger than he actually is.
A lot of close-ups.
A very handsome man.
Yep.
But he does look a lot younger in this than he actually is in real life.
Although I will say that he does not look like a 20-year-old. He does look older.
No, he's definitely, but he doesn't look like what he looks like now. I think if you see him in an interview right now, he would look older than that.
Yes.
So they de-aged him just enough to be like, you know.
Yep. And so then it flashes forward 7 years later to the president's space shuttle.
Space Force One?
Yeah, which with the same character that kind of screwed him over.
Oh.
And the president's she's talking to the president. The whole thing is that this.
You know what she looks like?
What's that?
Fuck, I can't think of her name. Wolverine's girlfriend from Japan.
Lady Deathstrike. It's her top. She's wearing the same top as Lady Deathstrike.
With the hair and everything. And then look at her hair. That's Lady Deathstrike.
Yeah, that's Lady Deathstrike. I mean, the whole point of this is that the president crash lands in this kind of slum outside of Night City.
Yeah.
And that you are tasked to go in and rescue the president. And then you get wrapped up with Idris Elba and local politics and what's going on.
Yeah.
So this is all set up for that. And
it kind of sounds like Escape from New York.
Yeah, I'm all right with that.
Save the president and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I'm all right with Escape from New York, the video game.
I'm not going to say no.
They also had, in case y'all don't know, today, Thursday, but by the time you hear this, it'll already be out. So the expansion comes out next Friday, but they put out the 2.0 version of Cyberpunk 2077, which is overhauled a shitload of the game. The entire skill system is overhauled. There's all these new powers, those new guns. The police system has been retooled. This trailer is showing that the police, this is kind of like in Edge Runners. If you fuck with the police for too long, they will now call in Max Tech, who are the guys that at the beginning of Edge Runners kill that guy that freaks out and is killing everybody with the Sandevistan. Did you ever watch Edge Runners?
No.
Okay. It was good. I liked it. Made me want to play the game again, but not until it was better.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's out. You could totally play that right now.
Nice.
And then also, this is a little inside baseball, but Phantom Liberty is going to be the first game that uses DLSS 3.5, which is a new type of ray tracing that works it's hard to describe, but it basically, the way that ray tracing used to work is it went through a bunch of steps, and that if you did the ray tracing and then you up-resed the ray tracing, you would end up with a blurry thing if too much was happening.
Yeah.
And they have a new way of doing this that unifies all that stuff for each frame instead of kind of running it through different things, different pipelines.
Yeah.
Anyway, this new ray tracing tech is in, and it's supposed to work not just on the 4000 series RTX or GPUs, but also on the 3000 series GPUs. I was actually, when you showed up, had Cyberpunk loaded up to be like, can I, it's called Ray Reconstruction. It was does this make a difference? Can I run it?
Yeah.
Because I'm still trying to figure out, where do I do this? Do I do it on RTX now? Do I do it on my PC with ray tracing turned on? Do I do it on the Xbox? Where do I play this game?
Yeah.
But apparently, at the end of the day, this DLSS 3.5 ends up really just unifying the whole scenes so that they can run at these really high frame rates. but then also have this incredible Cyberpunk 2077 probably has the best lighting tech. It's a great example of lighting tech because everything is so neon soaked and shiny that you can really see the way that the light kind of bounces off stuff. So
yeah, for sure,
looks good.
It's beautiful.
Yep, and that update came out along with the 2.0 update, so you can check that out. Let's see. We got a full gameplay overview trailer, 7 minutes for Witchfire. Witchfire is something that I've been looking forward to for a long time. This is the next game by a big chunk of the team that made Bulletstorm.
Okay.
And it's a very, I was just talking about how it was like, it's like Magic, but a first-person shooter. Well, this is also Magic and a first-person shooter, but it's very weird and different. It's like you play as this kind of witch hunter who has come to this island where there is a witch, and you have these guns. You get this kind of magic off of enemies, and then you can use it to power up guns. So like the guns by default will just be like a gun.
Yeah.
But then if you unlock more pieces,
kind of enchanted a little.
Yeah. So like
upgrades.
They talk about how like they've got a gun that by default is just like a bolt action rifle, but then when you do the first upgrade, it turns out that when you shoot one guy, it'll ricochet to like 3 or 4 other people. It's a big open world.
Yeah. This goes blurry a lot. Is that just am I having a seizure?
That's part of like kind of the way the magical like oppression goes, but
this might be a headache-inducing game to me.
Part of it too is that the witch that you are hunting knows that you have like unlimited lives and you can't die. So like the whole they literally say it here like the point of them sending these hordes after you is basically to make you lose all hope, which I think is a great story beat to be like, so you're not going to quit playing this game, are you?
Yeah.
Like you're gonna let that witch win, are you? So yeah, this is the gun where it shows it by default, or it might be a different part. Anyway, you get all kinds of like guns and powers. You can unlock a bunch of different stuff and do stuff. The crazy thing is, I've been hearing about this for a long time. This went into early access on the Epic store this week.
Nice.
I didn't see it because it's Epic only. It's not on Steam, but looks good. I really think it looks cool.
It sounds cool. Like what I'm seeing is just a bunch of shooting, so I don't know, but the general idea of it sounds pretty cool.
They talked about how like there's a bunch of different ways to play the game, and you're not like, this is it, where they show now you can shoot against multiple people at the same time.
Yeah. You know what it kind of looks like? Because it kind of looks like horde mode while you're trying to get up to the top of this mountain or to this place. It looks like a reverse tower defense where she's like, the witch is setting off these like hordes of monsters to stop you from going to this like fixed point.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I could see it. Anyway, I don't know. I'm debating on whether they talked on a press release how they're putting on an early access, but they're probably going to be working on it for like the next 12 months, doing like player feedback and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure whether to. There's just so many games right now that I think I might put it on the like if we find ourselves with a free slot kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it looks really good. I recommend everybody go check it out because, when I said the name of the game to you, you gave me a like, what the fuck is that look? And I think that a lot of people probably had that same look when I said that name.
That's just my natural resting face.
But yeah. So let's see. From there, we got a couple of different trailers for Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, which is not the Man Who Erased His Name that's coming out in November, but the next one in the Like a Dragon series that's coming out next year that takes place in Hawaii.
Ooh.
Where the main character, Ichiban, I think, is looking for his mother.
Is this where like the trailer started with him like naked on the beach or some crazy thing? Yeah.
Yes. It started out with him waking up naked on the beach.
Yeah.
This is the one that talks about gameplay, where it talks about, you can go to all these different places. You can do a bunch of stuff. You can battle the tourists, or you can go windsurfing, or like you have a bunch of crazy guys that you can, what do they call it? It's called like the pound mates. It's called pound mates, which is a thing where you can, it's summons. So you get out your phone and then you call
it's like
somebody.
Postmates, but instead it's
right.
Yeah,
they showed some of the new classes.
I was like, pound mates can mean a lot of things, Jeff.
Desperado, Geo Dancer, pyro dancer.
Nice.
Lots of kind of crazy stuff.
Housekeeper?
The housekeeper has this power washer.
Action star. Nice.
The thing I love about it's kind of like Mortal Kombat. One of the things I love the most about the Yakuza franchise is that they are both dumb and incredibly earnest with their dumbness at the same time. It's like, this is really stupid, and we are taking it 100% seriously.
Yeah. I think taking it 100% seriously makes it way more fun.
Yeah. I don't know who this giant lady is, but I do know that there was a thing in the previous one where there was a tiny crawfish that you could summon.
That's
I think
amazing.
it's in the trailer where it would come out and it would just snip, 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 and they'd be like, ah! So, yeah, there he is.
There he is.
There he is. It's like he's riding a crab in this one.
Yeah.
Also, this one appears to have the weird thing. So a lot of the Yakuza games have like a dating mini game, and they showed off in the last one is going to have this thing
Jesus.
where you do a mini game where you type in stuff to text message women, but then like what you get in return is like live action video of a lady. And like, I don't know.
Yeah.
What?
We've seen worse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, we played Super Seducer.
Yeah.
We played all the Super Seducers.
It's horrifying how often I bring up Super Seducer to coworkers.
Yeah. They're like, what? What are you talking about?
Because they just don't,
Sure.
Yeah. And every once in a while, just freshly squeezed pussy juice.
Cold pressed.
Cold press. That's what it was.
Anyway. They also came out, and I'm going to not talk about this all that much, with a 10-minute story trailer for Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth that has some, like, Japan has absolutely no chill when it comes to not putting spoilers in here.
I know.
Like 5 minutes into this, Kiryu Kazama is talking with them. Oh, well, first off, the fact that Kiryu Kazama is even a thing is like kind of, if you didn't play Like a Dragon, you wouldn't know that. But anyway, like they just go for showing you all this stuff that is happening and why the main character is going. It's none of this like ambiguous. I mean, first off, it's 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's not like a just smash cut between different things.
Yeah.
They're showing plot points. They're showing action beats. They're showing big stuff that happens.
Yeah.
They're showing, oh, and then that happened, and then this happened, and then this person
Like,
showed up.
oh my God, yeah.
In fact,
there is a lot going on.
There's a part halfway through this where a main character dramatically makes a. I'm not even going to show Amanda. Here, I'll tell you what. I'll let you show this, and you can then show how much no chill this company has. This is Kiryu Kazama, who has come back into the franchise. This is 6 minutes into this 10-minute trailer where he's talking to these main characters and like says something that it's like, whoa, guys.
Oh,
I didn't want to know that.
Yep.
Like, this is something that you should have waited to happen in your game to be a dramatic reveal.
Yeah, that definitely comes off like it's going to be a story beat that's important.
Right. And they're just watching this trailer and they're just like, yep,
that's it.
there you go.
Love that.
So, let's see. Speaking of beating people up, River City Rival Showdown is a new River City ransom game that's coming out later this year. It appears to just be kind of a new River City ransom where you're walking around and you're beating up guys and doing like quests, and you've got different kind of like little dudes, but it all looks like the old River City ransom with little pixel guys. I'm really glad to see that this franchise is still doing this stuff.
Alive and well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I do love Pixel Boys.
So, wait, when is that coming out? October 12th.
Nice.
Like just right around the corner.
Couple weeks.
Yep. Let's see. We got a Persona 3 Reload Conflicting Fates trailer. By the way, I should at this point say, most people who are listening to this probably are already caught on to this, but like right now, there's a shitload of news coming out of TGS that will all be next week's podcast. Yeah. So
you don't want to give up to the minute updates, Jeff?
We didn't have time with all that Microsoft shit, man.
That is fair.
I don't know anything about Persona 3. This seems to give away kind of this. There's like a a competing organization of weird spirit dudes that factors in. I'm interested in playing this. I think that they keep showing it, even though like you don't have to. I mean, it's like we've already made up our mind.
Yeah, I've already sold on it. It's
also,
fine.
It's going to be on Game Pass, so it's
even better. Yeah.
But I am though really. I'm really impressed at how much work they've done because I know this is like a PS2 game. So,
oh wow,
yeah, when you see what the original Persona 3 looked like, it was very basic, and they've really revamped it to make it look really nice.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Let's see. We got a very short pre-order trailer for announced last week. Tales of Arise Beyond the Dawn. Do you remember playing Tales of Arise? Guy had a metal face.
I think so. Yeah.
And we were just like, wow. This JRPG just gets right to fighting, and it's cool. And it's like the guy with the metal face with no past, and then the girl that has the spikes, so nobody can touch her without getting hurt. But the metal face guy can't feel any pain, and so he's like the only one who can touch her. It was great. I played all the way through it. And then 2 years later, it's been 2 years since that game came out, they announced DLC for it last week. So, but you could pre-order it now.
I literally thought you were saying this was like a sequel to it. And you're like, no, DLC.
DLC.
Same game.
Yep.
2 years later.
I still highly, highly recommend Tales of Arise. If you want an RPG, by the time the game is done, you are literally out of this world. It's pretty crazy. So, this is... Oh, wait. Oh, it's different. Wait. Oh, no, I closed two things at the same time. This is a preview, Amanda, for you for next week. Because today they put out the DLC for Resident Evil 4, the Separate Ways DLC, where you get to play as Ada Wong. So it's the DLC from RE4 that shows what Ada was doing.
Nice.
While Leon and company were doing other stuff.
Why does she look so Asian?
I knew that was your favorite.
I'm never gonna let it go. You guys, not you guys, obviously.
Not anybody listening to this.
You guys are stupid. Touch grass. I can't express that enough.
Yep.
But not you guys.
Not you guys.
But you know
Those
who I'm talking
guys.
about.
Them other guys.
Them other guys.
Yeah. Looks great. I mean, I think there was no way that they weren't going to do this.
Yeah.
As I understand it, this DLC takes place mostly in RE4's map.
Yeah.
So you already got the map. You've got the models. You've got the Bados. You probably had an Ada Wong model.
You got the guns. You got the power.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Let's get in there.
Got hyped.
And they also added Ada and Wesker to the mercenaries mode.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
Also, they appear to have the weird laser hallway from the Resident Evil movie.
I was like, I recognize that.
Yep. I don't know. I never played the DLC for 4, so I don't know what was in there. Yeah. I did play all the way through the 4 remake 3 times.
Oh, I remember that. I remember having conversations with you about it.
We got another one. This is another reason just for me to remind people this game exists. I think you were on last time I talked about this. Quantum Error, which is the weird, like, I'm a firefighter and then you're going into weird dimensions. It's like there's a city, like a artificial city, and there's a fire, and then you go there, but then you're going into like weird Control-esque looking places, and it's real strange looking.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
This game looks cool. I think maybe everybody knows about it already, and I'm just the weird one. But like, I feel like I only learned about this a month ago.
Yeah.
This is basically the trailer where they're talking about you're going to use the haptic feedback on your PlayStation controller. There's also a part where they show you doing CPR on somebody, and you have to do compressions with the shoulder buttons, and then you have to blow into the mic.
Everyone's gonna die.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So, yeah. Looks like good stuff. Go check it out. And then last, when it comes to horror, this is a really weird one, and I wouldn't have found it if I didn't look at like this PC gamer feed. So this is called Tenebrous Somnia, and there's a demo for it that came out, and it was announced, I think, like 2 weeks ago, so it's a little late. It's a very weird game. I really want you and I to play it, though, because what it is it is a live action mixed with like what looks like Monkey Island or like Old Maniac Mansion.
Yeah.
And so you'll be looking at like a very pixelated kind of old school adventure game, and then like it will cut to live action of that same thing.
Ugh.
And wait till you see the monster. Yeah, there's like this lady with two faces
God.
monster.
Oh my God. Oh, I love it. Oh, I love that.
So, yeah. It looks crazy, right? Like,
yeah. That looks like something where we'd play like one thing, and if it's done correctly, we'll be like one dojo or maybe like a Patreon video, and then be like, do you want to play another? Do you want to play another episode? I think we're almost through it. Like, let's just throw on another episode.
So yeah, there's a demo right now.
Oh, I love the way her arms are like fucked up.
Yep. I
know like her face is like the money shot of like the double head face thing, but like her arms being out all like unnaturally makes it for me.
Yep.
There's so many fucking scary things where the monster is either full hands out like Frankenstein style or hands totally down in this awkward like run at. I love it. I've been watching a lot of spooky things on like TikToks and short films and stuff where it's just like, man, the motion of horror is so important.
Yeah. I'm just surprised I've never seen this particular monster concept before.
The double head thing is...
So I just to explain to anybody who's not looking at this, it's like a person and then their mouth is open, but then imagine that like on the bottom of where your chin is, there's like an inverted head, second head, nose, eyes, everything, and then it's like two heads sharing one mouth inverted.
Yeah.
And it's very effective. Like I saw the screenshot for this and then stopped and was like, wait, what is that? I want to go find out more. So
yeah, it's really well done.
But yeah, Tenebris, TENEBRISSOMNIA. There is a demo currently on Steam.
Nice.
All right. We're out of time, so let's run through these real fast. Let's see. Little Nightmares is coming to phones on December 12th.
Nice.
They announced that before, but we have a release date for it, so there you go.
Nice.
Amnesia the Bunker is getting a Halloween update to make it even harder and more scarier.
Did you like that one?
I did, but it was a little...
Not in a make it scarier and harder kind of way?
Definitely not. I'm not a big fan of the horror games where you're
hiding,
where you
not
struggle.
looking. Or hurting.
Well, that's not what this one was different because it was very much like you're doing kind of shuttle runs out of like a safe zone to try to get the resources that you need to go forward. Like the monster tends to shy away from light, and so you'll get a big jerry can and fill up a generator and then turn it on and then set your watch, and so you have like 10 minutes before the lights go out.
Oh, okay.
And then they randomize where everything is every time you play, so you just go look for stuff and try to overcome the kind of randomly generated stuff that was in there. It was really effective. It's just not my kind of horror game. Like I'm not into the suspenseful horror game. I mostly play action games, and I like action games. So I like Resident Evil where you can shoot the zombies and then punch Krauser in the face.
Yeah.
Where you have to run away from the weird monster that's killing everybody in a World War I bunker. Less.
Fair.
So
fair point.
But this is called Shell Shocked difficulty. It's going to add a bunch of stuff like the safe room no longer is safe. The game doesn't pause when you go in your inventory to do crafting.
Oh, fuck that. That shit just frustrate the hell out of me.
Lots of other stuff. Yeah. But there's definitely for people who are into this sort of thing, they're going to want this sort of game.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So also you have this like little yo-yo light where you pull this cord to like charge it up and it makes
like
noise when you pull it.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting game. I just wasn't really my deal.
Yeah, that's fair.
Speaking of interesting games that are not really my deal, Evil Dead game is not going to be getting any additional content, and the Switch version has been canceled. So it says Saber Interactive. I kind of felt like that game was a long shot to begin with. They probably should have made a narrative action third-person game where you played as fucking Bruce Campbell. Ashley Williams.
They've had a bunch of narrative Evil Dead games.
Yes.
Or like 2. But those were fine. Those were fun. I don't know. Also, like nothing is more Evil Dead than trying to make it and then failing. Like I get and understand. Believe me, I love and appreciate the Evil Dead franchise.
Yeah.
But people also forget that like a cult hit does not mean mainstream success.
I think that if they would have basically they would have gone and like paid for several hours of Sam Raimi's time and been like, if you were going to make another Evil Dead, whoa, just give me the broad strokes and then go hire some writers and do that and make a third-person action-adventure game with an upgrade system.
Enough good writers, and if Sam Raimi is okay with them like doing it, which he seems he is because the Evil Dead franchise has now moved on to other filmmakers, to make a good story, and you go, give me a continuation. Give me the further adventures of Ash Williams.
Sure.
Or give me another character within the world of Evil Dead. Do something.
Yeah.
And you can do something with it. But this, like, do you want to... Wasn't it like an asymmetrical fucking same thing every other horror game is?
4 people were trying to collect the Necronomicon pages and put them together, and the other person was playing as the force that would animate deadites and send them out to them. And it's just like, I don't want to play that.
Yeah, that's so fucking played out. It's cheap.
Like, you know what? The thing is that this game obviously had, like, time, effort, money, like, licensing fees, contracts and stuff put into it. And then here's you and I looking at this fucking Monkey Island-looking game with, like, some Whales interactive cutscenes between it going like, I can't wait to play that. Whereas here it's
genuinely like watching Ash versus the Evil Dead. And I was, when I first watched it, I remember seeing them do something different than a Deadite where they had this, like, shaking monster.
Yeah.
So it always looked like it was vibrating. So it was always kind of blurry, but in like a weird kind of vibration-y kind of way, like constantly moving kind of way. And I was like instantly hyped because I was like, about the first episode. And then they started giving me like monsters that weren't just fucking Deadites. And I was like, oh, you're going to actually do something with this? Okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't need to see Evil Dead again. I don't need these characters to just appear as
Eric
like
the
fans.
Red is in this. Didn't you always want to play as like the side character?
Yeah.
From Evil Dead? Like,
it's just fucking,
everybody wants to be Ash. Like,
first of all, Eric the Red's from Army of Darkness. So like how fucking embarrassing for you.
All right.
But like, yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I
and that's not to say you can't make a good Evil Dead game. The whole point is that you just can't make a good asymmetrical horror game because every goddamn horror game that's licensed is an asymmetrical.
Yeah.
Boring. You've had this conversation.
You gotta knock Dead by Daylight off of its perch before you can even get started. They just put out fucking licensed Alien content.
Yeah.
Like,
be creative. Come on.
The thing
this is a creative art form. You do creative. Don't just insert new skin to the same games that we've been seeing.
You know what? You could totally do that.
Put Ash Williams into Fortnite.
You could. I believe Ash Williams is already in Fortnite.
I was like, as soon as I said it, I was like,
pretty sure.
Fuck. You know what?
But like, no. The thing is that I'm gonna say that like, if you just made a B tier RE4 ripoff that had Ash instead of Leon, I would play that game.
Yeah,
I would play that game where you could have different guns and different chainsaws and you know, blah 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 blah. So, anyway.
Be creative.
Be creative.
In the comments down below, give me a pitch for an Evil Dead game that is not an asymmetrical blah, blah, blah.
So that company, Digital Eclipse, that made that Making of Karateka game that I talked about, has remade Wizardry, which is an old game that was one of the first dungeon crawlers that inspired like the entire genre.
Yeah.
And it's out in early access right now.
Nice.
Like you can go play it right now. So, and they this is one of those like you're going to move kind of one square at a time.
Yeah.
You're going to create like a little party of guys. You're going to fight a bunch of doodles.
Oculus movement.
But yeah, they did work. I mean, you know, they did work to put it all together.
Looks good compared to the just green text on screen that it used to be.
Yeah. But yeah, it's on Steam and GOG. $30. Sure. Came out this week.
Hell yeah.
Late last week.
What's today?
The 21st. Spider-Man 2 is gold. So that's good. That means there can't be any more delays. They're printing discs.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's what going gold means, is that the discs are on their way. And since it's coming out mid-October, it means there can't be any last-minute delays.
You can't stop me now, baby.
Yep. Additionally, we might see Counter-Strike 2 next week. The Counter-Strike Twitter account, X account, they X'd on X. What are you doing next Wednesday?
I'm watching Dynamite, dude. Come on.
So, Counter-Strike 2 has been in beta for like 2 months, 3 months now.
Okay.
So there's a good possibility that it's actually going to go into full release. Were they
going to like surprise you with it and not just say it?
Probably.
Guess what?
I don't know. I know that I'm not going to be playing Counter-Strike for this channel because the people that play Counter-Strike are crazy. Yeah, and I know because I used to do it.
I don't want to be a part of that community.
I used to do it. Yeah. I did it back before it was even in 1.0. Speaking of betas, Hades 2 early access is coming next spring. We got the full release date for that. So Q2 of 2024. Can't wait.
Hype.
And then last but not least... we got some fun stuff. Not a lot of fun stuff this week, though. Somebody put Melania from Elden Ring into Sekiro, and that sentence makes me want to die.
Yeah.
Because as much as I like Melania, I do not want to fight her in this game where you have one defensive thing, and it is only parrying when she does the waterfowl dance.
Yeah.
John and I played, and I managed to kill her on the first try because I found a big cheese dick weapon and cheese dicked it up all the way to maximum cheese dicking, and then basically put a trident in the air until she bled to death. Nice. The end. So
if it works, it works.
But yeah, if you want to check it out, it's Melania, Blade of Ashira, Ashira's like one of the baddos in Sekiro. Let's see, somebody in Starfield put together 3,000 placemats in order to create like this giant factory. So the outposts in Starfield are like these very basic kind of like little mining outposts.
Yeah.
But somebody here, they had to use a mod to do this because they went over the maximum number of parts that you can use to make this factory, because Starfield strangely doesn't have they don't have like foundations. So they literally had to put like every one of those things like a panel that they put on the ground to make it all smooth and nice looking and stuff.
It is very nice looking.
It is very nice looking. And last but not least, I like this. This is an interesting one. This is a YouTuber that goes by the name of Benjamin Winters that made this really cool. I was unaware that this was like a genre that people would watch, because I like doing stuff like this. Made a video called "This is How You Play Stealth in Starfield." So Starfield stealth has been criticized because it's like it's not very effective. Yeah. And I think a lot of that is because previously in Bethesda games, stealth was like a win button, where like once you got your stealth up high enough, it was like just everything died.
Yeah.
So they probably toned it back a little bit, but in this run, he basically is going through this area and has memorized where everybody is, and is not using any like mod tools or anything additional, is just using the tools at hand, having practiced these runs of doing like a bunch of different run throughs. And this guy does apparently up until very recently, he or they or whatever was doing cyberpunk stuff. I watched one of their other videos. Let's see if I can find it. Where it was like, it was called like, "This will make you want to play Cyberpunk 2077," and it was kind of nuts because it was just like double jumping between buildings and doing like these like short melee kills, and then like hacking kills and stuff. This was before the new update too.
Yeah,
like back when it was still just a little bit less.
Did you just pop that girl's head off?
Yep, with the sword.
Whoa.
Yeah. So go check them out. They make really good videos.
Yeah.
So, and it makes, basically it's just like making a game look really, really, really fun to play, even if it's not really fun to play, by just
playing it at like max capacity of coolness.
Yeah, well, like whenever they do, I've always thought about this. Whenever they do playthroughs, like whenever they do live playthroughs, you could tell that whoever it is that's played through the game practiced this a few times before they did it, or if they didn't, it becomes very clear because they're like, "Oops, that's never happened," and then it's a big problem. But there's been a few times in my life where I've practiced areas in games to do this kind of thing, where you play through a piece of the game and you make it look just like amazingly fluid and interesting, because you know exactly where to go and exactly what to do and how to get there in the minimum amount of time. Yeah. And like whenever we would play Hitman. Yeah. Like in Hitman. Yeah. And in Hitman, like when you and I were playing it, right, I would leave in all of the like oopsie daisies.
Yeah, but you could like, if you really wanted to, we could edit that so it's not that. But why?
But this just makes this game look so much cooler.
Yeah.
Than I feel like it ends up being when you play it. So, go check it out. And with that, we're done. The podcast complete. Only 15 minutes over time.
That's not bad for us.
Not bad at all, considering the amount that we
early,
got through.
usually.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, patreon.com/RageSelect? Question mark. Maybe that's the thing you want to do. Do it.
Period.
Do it. Go there and do it. Now, Amanda, I have to find a Chinese KFC because I want to take that challenge.
Oh, God.
I can do it.
I'm part of it. Let's do it.
I can do it. All right. We need 2 more people. Let's go.